The sun shines on the vast fields, and the air is filled with the moist smell of newly turned soil, mixed with the strange coo-coo-coo cries of magical chickens in the distance. Those chickens are not like ordinary things. They can float into the air with a flap of their wings, and their eggshells shine with a faint blue light. Ye Chen bent over and swung the hoe, sweat sliding down his handsome face that once made the devil fearful, and smashed into the soft black soil. He took a deep breath, smelled the familiar local fragrance, and thought to himself, this is life. After defeating the demon king in the peaceful continent, it is finally my turn to lie down. Dad! Dad! Look at my new pet. A clear shout rang out from the direction of the chicken coop. Shen Qingqing, the girl with messy brown short hair, ran over with a plump magic chicken in her arms. The chicken's claws were kicking wildly, its egg-yellow feathers flashed in the sun, and it was squealing as if in protest. It's called the Golden Egg King, and it laid 3 extra-large eggs today. Mom told me to eat them, what do you think? Ye Chen straightened up, wiped his sweat, and rubbed his daughter's head lovingly. Seeing that the situation was not going well, the chicken flapped its wings with a pop and sprayed out a string of blue sparks, which went straight into Qingqing's face. The girl screamed, let go, and threw the chicken. The magic chicken, Cuckoo, flew up with a strange smile and circled around the field, causing several nearby chickens to follow suit, and the scene turned into a mess. Qingqing, you let them run around again. These chickens are not toys. If the eggs are smashed, who will repair them? Su Wan's voice came from the door of the ancestral house, with the usual nagging flavor. She was carrying a basket of freshly washed clothes, her virtuous face was frowning, and her apron was stained with chicken feathers and mud spots. Ye Chen, take care of your daughter. When you retire, you know how to dig in the ground. The family is going crazy, just pretend that nothing is wrong. Ye Chen smiled helplessly, waved his hand, and an invisible breath of bravery quietly dispersed. The magic chickens, bang, fell back into the chicken pen as if they had received an order, and obediently lowered their heads to peck. He patted the dirt on his hands and thought, the devil has surrendered, so what are a few flying chickens? Wanner, don't be angry, Qingqing just loves to play. I'll divide the eggs and make chicken soup tonight to make up for it. Su Wan snorted, put the basket on the ground, put her hands on her hips and stared at the egg basket in Qingqing's hand. 3 eggs. They are clearly the 5 I picked up in the morning. You girls secretly hid 2 of them, and you still want to eat them all. Mom worked hard to serve these monster chickens, and your dad dug the ground like a farmer, but you came to snatch the food? No. The Golden Egg King is mine, he laid eggs for me. Qingqing puffed up her cheeks, clenched the egg basket with her little fists, and the 2 of them were about to fight over a few glittering eggs. The air was filled with the faint sweet smell of eggs, and the snickering of naughty fairies could be heard from the village in the distance. Those green-skinned things the size of thumbs were hiding in the bushes, poking their heads to watch the excitement. Just when Ye Chen was about to step forward to mediate, a rumble of carriages rolled down the path at the entrance of the village, raising a cloud of dust. 2 familiar figures jumped out of the car. One was Feng, a strong man in a gorgeous silk robe, the adventure captain who was now a big businessman in the city, with a bearded face and a smile like a fox who stole a chicken. The other was the tall and thin assassin Li Xiu, sneaking around in a black cloak, his eyes narrowed into slits, and holding a bottle of fine fruit wine in his hand. Ha ha ha. Folks and elders, come and watch. The brave farmer Uncle Yi is performing the great plowing of the shit-shoveling hero. Feng's voice shook the chickens and made them fly half a foot into the air. The magic chickens screamed, coo-coo, and the sound of cracking eggshells was heard everywhere. He strode over, patted Ye Chen on the shoulder, and laughed so hard. Old Yi, back then you killed the devil with 1 sword and shocked the continent, what about now? Retire and return to your hometown, buy a piece of shabby farmland, and raise a flock of flying chickens as pets. I've thought of this nickname for you, Vegetary Garden Demon King's Nemesis. You can't defeat the devil, but the weeds, right? Li Xiu smiled sinisterly, took out a small book from his cloak, opened it and read, the latest nickname list, number 1, Shit Shovel Hero, number 2, Farmer Hero, number 3, Eggshell Patron Saint. Boss, the way you dig the soil is so real. He looks like an old litu from the village, the devil knows what he's doing, he's so angry. As he said this, he imitated Ye Chen's movements of swinging the hoe, twisting like a goblin, causing both Su Wan and Qingqing to burst into laughter. Ye Chen's face was livid, and his heart had already collapsed. I live in seclusion and lie down in peace, and you two came all the way to bombard me with nicknames. In the team back then, these two guys were the scoffers. He pretended to be calm, dropped the hoe, and patted the dirt on his hands. Feng, Li Xiu, rare visitors. Business in the city is busy, how can you have time to come to the countryside to enjoy the scenery? Feng hugged Ye Chen's neck and blew hot air into his ears, enjoying the view. We are here to admire the legend. I heard that you bought 10 acres of magic land, raised 50 flying chickens, married a good wife and gave birth to a daughter, and lived a fairy life. But old Yi, you look like this. He turned to Su Wan and shouted, sister-in-law, Yi was so majestic back then, killing demons and armies of 10,000 enemies by one person, what about now? You smell like chicken shit, and you are more skilled with a shovel than a sword. Su Wan was still angry at first, but now she couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh, her eyes turned into crescent moons. Brother Qin is right, after your Ye Chen retired, he dug the ground and raised chickens all day long. I even doubted whether he was cursed by the devil and became a farmer. Qingqing, does your father's nickname sound similar? Qingqing's eyes were shining brightly, and she pulled Ye Chen's clothes in admiration. Dad, you are a farmer hero. So cool. Teach me how to make the chicken fly higher. But she whispered in a low voice, but it sounds so embarrassing to be a hero who shovels shit. Li Xiu took the opportunity to get closer and sneakily poked Ye Chen's waist. Boss, stop pretending, you must be mentally broken, right? In our team back then, you had the most nicknames, Demon King's nemesis turned into Farmer's nemesis. Come on, have a drink of wine to calm down. He stuffed the bottle and the aroma of the wine hit his nostrils. Ye Chen took a sip and it was so spicy that tears streamed down his face, but he could only laugh. A few simple farmers from the village came over after hearing the sound. They were curious about the new guests, but they heard Feng shout loudly, everyone, this is Ye Chen. The legendary hero who defeated the devil is now living in seclusion and farming. The farmers' eyes widened and their mouths opened like O-type, an old man's voice trembled, Why Yong, Mr. Yong? Are you shoveling chicken poop? Another aunt rubbed her eyes, oh my god, the hero who was rumored to have cut a mountain with a sword now has his hands full of mud. The contrast is so shocking. Ye Chen felt his face was so hot that he could fry an egg, and he was roaring in his heart, I just want to lie down quietly, why are there always these mocking madmen coming to destroy me? He pretended to ignore it, turned around to pick up the hoe, but stepped on a piece of magic chicken shit, slipped and fell into the mud puddle. The whole audience burst into laughter, and Feng punched the ground with laughter, practical demonstration of the shit-shoveling hero. Lao Yi, the devil will be impressed by your posture. Su Wan and Qingqing's argument had long been forgotten, and the mother and daughter bent over with laughter. Qingqing pointed at her father in the mud pit, Dad, you have become a mud warrior. Su Wan wiped her tears and said, Ye Chen, get up, don't be embarrassed. Brother Qin, brotherly, come in and drink tea, don't make trouble in the fields. Ye Chen got up and shook off the mud. He looked calm, but in his heart he was thinking, he had to find a way to fight back against these nickname crazy people. But at this moment, there was a commotion in the chicken pen, and a super-large magic chicken rushed out with its wings fluttering and went straight to Li Xiu's head. Li Xiu screamed and dodged, the monster chicken is coming. Boss, help. The eggs were smashed like cannonballs, blue light splashed everywhere, and the scene was filled with chickens and eggs. Qin Feng's eyes widened and his voice trembled. This chicken is more ruthless than the assassins in the city. Old Ye, what kind of monster army are you raising? The farmers backed away and murmured, the brave man's chicken is so scary. It hurts to death when the eggs are smashed. Qingqing clapped her hands excitedly. The golden egg king shows his power. Dad, surrender it quickly. Ye Chen raised the corner of his mouth slightly, finally waiting for the opportunity. He gave a light drink, and the warrior's momentum exploded, and the faint sound of swords seemed to resound in the air. The flying chickens all landed with a thud. The leading chicken lowered his head and surrendered, and turned around obediently. Qin Feng and Li Xiu were dumbfounded. Their mouths were open for a long time and they couldn't close them. Qin Feng stammered, Lao Yi, you are still so fierce in farmer mode. Should our nickname be changed? Li Xiu wiped his sweat and his voice was as shaky as chaff. Shit-shoveling hero. No, it's the Chicken King Tamer. Su Wan's eyes flashed with admiration, and she whispered softly, you are still my brave husband. Qingqing hugged her father's legs, Dad is the most handsome. Ye Chen felt secretly happy. After suppressing it for a long time, he finally came back. But he looked calm and clapped his hands, it's just a little trick. Come into the house, don't let the fairies see the joke. Everyone crowded into the ancestral house, and the wooden door creaked shut. Qin Feng suddenly smiled evilly and slapped the table, Old Ye, we are not leaving. I am bored in the city and decided to stay in your farmer's paradise for a few days to study your new nickname. Li Xiu, what do you think? There will be a nickname contest tomorrow. If you lose, you will be punished by shoveling chicken shit. Li Xiu nodded with a gloomy smile, I agree. Farmer brave, prepare to face the storm of ridicule. Ye Chen spit out a sip of tea, and his heart was shocked. How many days? How long will this bombing last? Outside the house, the goblins snickered even louder, and as night fell, it heralded that more ridiculous and hilarious things were about to come. In the ancestral house, the oil lamp swayed, and the orange light and shadow stretched the figures of the people. The air was filled with the aroma of freshly stewed chicken soup, mixed with the faint sweetness of the magic eggs. The wooden table was crowded with people. Qin Feng sat down with his big horse and Jin Dao, grabbed the bowl and poured the soup with his beard covered with grease. Old Ye, this soup is amazing. Use the eggs picked up by your poop hero, right? Huh, the devil's soup doesn't even taste like this. Li Xiu leaned back in his chair and looked at Ye Chen with squinted eyes, yes, sister-in-law, this soup has the Farmer Brave exclusive seasoning, the flavor of chicken feces and mud. Su Wan put the last dish on the table, her face was gloomy, and her apron was tied tightly. Brother Qin, brotherly, you are welcome to stay, but there are only 3 rooms in the house, you two go to the woodshed. Ye Chen, you get up early tomorrow to feed the chickens, don't let this happen, those monsters are making trouble. She glared at Qingqing, girl, hand over the 2 blue light eggs you hid. Mom counted 5 in the morning, and now there are 3 left in the basket. Your dad is busy in the fields, and I am busy doing laundry. How about you just eat it all to yourself? Qingqing huddled next to Ye Chen, her little hands clenching the corners of her clothes, her cheeks bulging, no. The eggs laid by the Golden Egg King are mine only. Mom, you are partial, you always give eggs to the neighbor's aunt, leaving few for me. She rolled her eyes and said coquettishly, Dad, speak for me. The Golden Egg King will also lay big eggs today. Ye Chen stuffed a piece of chicken into his daughter's mouth and laughed awkwardly, Wanner, Qingqing, the eggs are divided enough. Qin Feng, Li Xiu, you too, don't just laugh, help spread the quilt. After retirement, I just want to live in peace, but I ended up becoming a hotel owner. But he was wailing in his heart, I lie down and my dream is shattered into slag. If these 2 mocking crazy people stay here, the bombardment of nicknames will escalate into a nuclear explosion. Qin Feng wiped his mouth and laughed loudly, slamming the table and shaking the dishes, making a quilt. Lao Yi, we are distinguished guests. The woodshed is equipped with the vegetable garden demon king's nemesis, a brave man who specializes in conquering your weeds. Li Xiu, write it down, and a new nickname will be born. Li Xiu quickly scribbled on the notebook and said in a sinister voice, perfect. Tomorrow's breakfast will be extra special, the paddy field holy swordsman, wielding the sword energy with a hoe, harvesting rice ears like slaying demons. Boss, your farmer look is perfect. Su Wan chuckled after hearing this, but frowned even more, don't make trouble. The division of housework must be clearly explained. Ye Chen feeds the chickens, Qingqing picks up the eggs, I do the laundry and cook, and you two guests at least sweep the floor. Otherwise, we can't live here. Qingqing swallowed the chicken, her eyes lit up, Mom, I'll pick up the eggs. Golden Egg King, listen to me. The mother and daughter looked at each other, and the smell of gunpowder was instantly strong, and the chopsticks on the table seemed to fly. As the night progressed, everyone dispersed. Ye Chen was lying on the bed, and Su Wan turned her back to him and muttered, Husband, those comrades of yours are so noisy. The house was already in chaos, and now it's even more chaotic. Qingqing was humming a song in the next room to coax the Golden Egg King to sleep, and there was a faint response of cuckoo. In the woodshed, Feng's snoring shook the sky, and Li Xiu snickered intermittently, as if he was planning a conspiracy. Ye Chen stared at the roof and sighed, bear with it, it's the style of a brave man. It was dawn, and the rooster, no, the roaring of the magic chickens resounded throughout the village. Ye Chen rubbed his eyes and got up, put on his clothes and went out. 50 flying chickens were already hovering in the sky, blue sparks were flying, and eggshells were hitting the vegetable garden outside the chicken pen like meteors. The smell of chicken feathers was in the air. He grabbed a shovel and shouted, be calm. The chickens were slightly stable, but there were still a few naughty wings, and the blue eggs fell to the ground with a splat and rolled into the mud. At the breakfast table, steaming egg pancakes were served. Su Wan wiped her sweat and said, Ye Chen, have you finished feeding the chickens? There are 2 eggs missing today. I must blame that girl. Qingqing slipped in with an empty basket and pretended to be innocent, Mom, I didn't do anything. Dad, what do you think? Feng and Li Xiu were already there. He sat down, smelling the scent of eggs on his nose, and laughed loudly, wow. Is the morning performance of the poop shoveling hero over? Lao Yi, you swing that shovel like a holy swordsman in the rice field. When you shovel it down, the weeds scream, and the devil praises it in the sky. Feng imitated swinging the shovel, twisting his waist in an exaggerated way, and the table legs shook. Li Xiu pushed the book over and said, the list has been updated. First, nemesis of the vegetable garden demon, second, holy swordsman of the paddy field, third, flying egg fried general. Boss, did you spray blue fire when feeding the chickens? Ha! Su Wan couldn't help laughing, and dropped her chopsticks, Brother Qin, your nickname. Ye Chen turned green when he heard it, right? Qingqing giggled, Dad is the egg fried general. So handsome. But Mom, the eggs you fry are so fragrant, I'll eat more. Ye Chen gritted his teeth and tried to fight back. He stuffed the egg pancake into Feng's mouth, Old Qin, you are used to being a businessman in the city. Come to the countryside to experience the flying chicken breakfast bombing. Your beard is suitable for being a feather broom. Unexpectedly, Feng swallowed it and his eyes lit up. Killer said, what a great idea. Lao Yi, my new nickname, Bearded Chicken Feather Brave. No, you are the one. Your face is covered in chicken feces and mud, and your breakfast comes with special effects. Li Xiandao, yes. When the boss eats eggs, his mouth looks like a chicken butt, and it's so red. The whole table burst into laughter, and Su Wan covered her belly, Ye Chen, you lost miserably. These comrades are sharper than the devil's claws. Qingqing laughed so hard that his balls gushed out. Dad, give in, you are at the bottom of the nickname contest. Ye Chen collapsed inwardly, and on the surface he insisted, humph, little trick. Wanner, Qingqing, don't argue about the eggs, I will mediate. He stood up, and the wisdom of a brave man flashed in his mind, use chicken performance to resolve it. Qingqing, bring the golden egg king. Dad will teach you to watch the magic chicken fight. Ye Chen took everyone outside. The sun was dazzling, the vegetable garden was green, and the wind rustled the rice waves beside the magic fields. 50 flying chickens heard the sound and flew into the sky, cawing wildly. Ye Chen took a deep breath of the fragrance of the earth, the heroic aura quietly dissipated, and the air buzzed like sword energy. He shouted, the show begins. Lead by the Golden Egg King, the Egg Rain Show in the sky. The Golden Egg King flaps its wings into the sky, and its huge body is like a dragon. He takes the lead and sprays blue fire. The chickens follow, their wings roar, and the blue eggs shoot out like fireworks. Qingqing screamed excitedly, Dad, it's great. The egg rain is so beautiful. Qin Feng's eyes widened and his beard trembled, Old Yi, this, chicken aerial combat. It's more spectacular than the demon-slaying army back then. Li Xiu backed away, his voice trembling, the eggs are coming. Flash. Su Wan covered her mouth, her eyes flickering with admiration, husband, this move, is so unreasonable. Qin Feng was dumbfounded, his mouth opened in an O shape, and he stammered, Lao Yi, you are in such a big fight, the nemesis of the vegetable garden demon king blew himself up. My own vegetables will destroy the group first. Li Xiu squatted on the ground with his head in his hands, his voice trembling, the egg exploded in my cloak. Boss, you beast tamer has become a destroyer. Su Wan was so angry. Stomping her feet, her face turned red and her neck thickened, Ye Chen. You are so brave and smart, you have ruined half a month of my hard work. There are already a lot of housework, but now the vegetable garden is ruined, what to eat? Qingqing jumped on the back of Golden Egg King, but tripped over the eggshell, dumbfounded, Dad, the performance is too fierce. Golden Egg King, you are a bad guy. The climax should have been exhilarating, but the Golden Egg King was too fierce. The egg hit the center of the vegetable garden with a boom. Blue light exploded, soil flew, cucumber vines broke, and tomatoes exploded into paste. The chickens followed the trend and smashed their eggs like cannonballs. The vegetable garden was filled with potholes and green leaves and debris flying all over the place. There is a strong eggy smell in the air, accompanied by earthy smell. The neighbor's aunt at the head of the village came over after hearing the sound, her old eyes widened, and the vegetable basket in her hand dropped to the ground, oh my God. The Yi family's vegetable garden is plagued by chickens. The monster chickens raised by the brave man are so scary, the eggs are smashed like meteorites. Another farmer rubbed his eyes and murmured, it is said that goblins are causing trouble in the rice fields in the east of the village, and now the Yi family is also affected. Those green-skinned little things, I heard snickering last night. Ye Chen looked at the mess and was shocked in his heart, I wanted to show off, but ended up hurting myself. The brave man lost his momentum, waved his hand helplessly, and the chickens fell to the ground with a bang, lowering their heads and pecking at the soil as if admitting their mistake. On the surface, he was calm, it's a little accident. I'm gardening. Wanner, don't be angry, I'll make soup tonight. Qin Feng came back to his senses and punched the ground with a smile, Paddy Field Holy Swordsman. No, he is the self-destructive king of the vegetable garden. Lao Yi, this nickname will be passed down forever. Li Xiu wiped the egg paste and smiled sinisterly, the list is off the charts. Everyone is complaining about it. Su Wan put her hands on her hips and glared at her husband, repair. Use your shovel and holy sword to repair it. Let's start over with the division of housework, you repair the garden, I'll feed the chickens, and clean the forbidden eggs for a week. You two guests, go and sweep up the chicken poop. Qingqing was aggrieved. Mom, that's not fair. Dad's performance is super cool. The mother and daughter misunderstood the upgrade, but were amused by the miserable scene in the vegetable garden, and both laughed. The sun was setting in the west, and Ye Chen was hoeing and repairing the garden, sweating like rain. Feng and Li Xiu were sweeping up chicken manure while inventing nicknames: mud-bathing brave, eggshell disaster-making machine. The farmers watched with puzzled eyes. Why is the brave lord so fierce? Raising chickens to destroy your home? The contrast is too big. Su Wan glanced at her husband's back while cooking and sighed in admiration. It's still the same energy, but sometimes the brain doesn't turn around. Qingqing secretly stuffed a blue egg to her father and whispered, Dad, heal yourself. As night falls again, the lights in the ancestral home are warm, and everyone gathers around the table to eat rotten tomato soup, unexpectedly delicious, sweet and sour. Feng burped and said, Old Yi, it's so nice to live here. The nickname contest will continue tomorrow. Amidst the laughter, a strange sound suddenly came from the farmland in the distance, rustling, like 1,000 little feet stepping on rice waves, mixed with the shrill laughter of green-skinned goblins. The wind blows outside the house, and there is a faint evil spirit in the fragrance of rice. Feng's ears twitched and he slapped Ye Chen on the shoulder with a wicked smile. Old Yi, did you hear? Farmland ghosts are crying and wolves are howling. Farmer warriors, go to the nemesis. We are watching a show in the house, and if we lose, we will give it the nickname, Paddy Field Ghost Sees Sorrow. Li Xiu nodded with a dark smile. Go, shovel and holy sword are ready. Su Wan frowned. Ye Chen, don't be brave, there are many rumors about goblins in the village. Qingqing hugged her father's leg. Dad, be careful. Bring the golden egg king. Ye Chen's heart tightened, he grabbed the hoe and stood up. The night wind was biting and cold, the road ahead was dark, and the strange sounds became more and more weird. The night wind was like a knife, blowing across Ye Chen's cheeks, bringing with it the smell of wet earth from the rice fields and a faint sour smell, like rotten vegetable leaves soaked for 3 days. At the door of the ancestral house, the light of the torch swayed, lengthening the shadow of his hoe, and the hoe blade shone coldly in the moonlight. In the 10 acres of magical fields in the distance, black waves of rice rolled, and the rustling sound was like the gnawing of thousands of ants, mixed with the sharp snickering of the green goblin. The Yi family vegetable garden was smashed, and the rice was so fat that it was stolen. A brave farmer. Just shoveling shit. Inside the house, Feng's voice exploded, and he put his head through the window and shouted, Old Yi, the night patrol farmers are out. Remember, if you lose, you will get grieved by ghosts in the rice fields. Let's hide under the quilt and watch the show, don't let the goblins laugh at you for having a weak shovel. Li Xiu made some cuts, and his voice floated from the woodshed, yes. Boss, bring a chicken feather broom to treat green skin itch. Su Wan pulled Qingqing back to the table, frowned and whispered, Ye Chen, be careful, the goblins are as slippery as loaches. Qingqing hugged the golden egg king's small wings, her eyes watery. Dad, come on. Smash their eggs. Ye Chen didn't look back and stepped steadily into the field. The mud splashed with water and hit his trouser legs. I feel angry, I retired and became a night shift security guard. The hoe is clenched tightly, the brave man's aura surges faintly, and the air buzzes like the awakening of sword energy. But the road ahead was full of darkness, the evil laughter became more and more rampant, the green light flashed, and a dozen green-skinned little goblins jumped out of the rice waves, no higher than the knees, their pointed ears stood up, and they grabbed the rice ears with their claws and gnawed the rice ears until the juice splashed everywhere. Their green skin is shiny, their eyes shine like mung beans, and their mouths smell of rice mixed with saliva. Ye Chen swung his hoe to block, the mud balls clanged against the edge, water mist splashed in the rice field, his feet slipped, the hoe poked in the air, smashed into the mud, and splashed black juice all over his body. The goblins surrounded them, grabbing at random with their green claws, tearing at the corners of clothes, stepping on the insteps, and laughing loudly. weak chicken brave. You were awesome in the Demon King era, now shovel chicken shit. He was panting, the brave man couldn't hold back his momentum, and his heart collapsed. Damn, this green skin is even meaner than the Demon King's soldiers. The ears of rice are flying like whips, making my cheeks feel hot, and the smell of mud is choking my nose. Desperation wells up in me, am I going to fall under the claws of a goblin? The leader of the goblins, a fat green ball, wielding rice ears as a whip with his paws, screamed and taunted, "Look! The poop-shoveling hero is here. Come on, brothers. Smash his vegetable garden dream." The demon group burst into laughter, green shadows came in like a tide, claws clawed at the soil, and mud projectiles rained down on Ye Chen. Bang bang bang. With mud on his face and a fishy smell filling his nose, a goblin jumped up on his shoulder and pulled at his beard with its claws. "Farmer! You smashed your eggs on your own house, huh? We stole rice, and you couldn't even catch us." Another one got into his trouser legs and giggled, "Night patrol farmer. A scarecrow that comes to your door." On the roof, Feng and Li Xiu had climbed up, wrapped in quilts as cloaks, and the torches illuminated their silly faces. Old Yi is on the street. The farmer on night patrol has turned into a straw pig. Li Xiu, take a notebook, the new nickname is Green Sandbag Brave. Li Xiu shook his notebook, her voice trembled with excitement. Full marks. Look at his shovel, poking at the mud like he's dancing. Su Wan bit her lip at the door and clenched her fists. Ye Chen, come back. Qingqing hugged Golden Egg King's wings, with a pale face. Dad. Golden Egg King, save Dad. Just when the goblins pounced on him and the green claws were about to tear off his clothes, Ye Chen's eyes flashed, and the low point of his desire to rise first broke out. He deeply inhaled the scent of rice and the muddy smell, and the heroic momentum was like a volcano erupting. The air buzzed with the sound of swords, and golden light loomed around him. Swirling the shovel in his right hand, his left hand took out a handful of magic feed, chicken food with flashing blue light from his pocket, crushed it and sprinkled it to the sky. Chicken feeding magic, Kai. Golden Egg King, leading his team to airborne. 50 flying chickens, egg explosion mode. Boom, the blue fire of the chicken coop in the ancestral home soared into the sky, the Golden Egg King flapped his huge wings, roared like a dragon, and led 50 magic flying chickens into the sky. The wings roared like thunder, the blue flame streaked the night sky, and a fishy egg storm swept over the farmland. Chickens swooped down, cuckoos roared loudly, and blue light eggs rained down like meteorites. The goblins were dumbfounded, and the leader, the fat green man, opened his mouth like an O, chicken army. Bang bang bang. The first wave of eggs exploded, blue light exploded, soil flew, and the green-skinned goblin was covered in egg paste, slipping into the rice waves. The scene is ridiculous and hilarious, with the chickens chasing the goblins. The Golden Egg King sprayed blue fire, its wings fanned like a hurricane, and the green shadow of the fairy scurried around, grabbing the rice ears with its claws as a shield, but the flying chicken swooped down and pecked its head. Cooing, screeching melee, blue eggs bombing the rice fields, potholes exploding, water and mud splashing everywhere. The goblins slipped and fell into the mud pit. A green-skinned man held an ear of rice and cried out, "Help! The chicken shit rain is coming." Flying chickens circled and pooped, green and yellow chicken shit poured down like a waterfall, and the stench reached the sky, drowning the goblins. The green-skinned man soaked in shit soup and struggled comically. The fat leader, his face covered in shit, screamed, "Retreat! This farmer is raising a shit chicken army." Feng rolled down from the roof, his beard trembling, and his eyes widened. "Old Yi. This, rural brave mode. Chicken Air Combat 2.0. His voice was as trembling as chaff. Li Xiu dropped his notebook and backed away with his head in his arms. Egg rain is upgraded. The goblin is finished. Boss, your shovel summoning, magic skill. Su Wan covered her mouth, her eyes flashed with admiration. husband, it's so powerful. The chickens in the family have turned into Air Force. Qingqing screamed and jumped up, and Golden Egg King carried her into the air. Dad is awesome. Egg fried green skin. The whole family of teammates rushed out, laughing until they burst into laughter. Feng was beating the ground and rolling, his beard stained with shit, and his face was filled with tears. Old Ye. You won. But this scene, chicken shit drowns the goblin. The worst nemesis in history. His voice shook as if he was dying. Li Xiu picked up the notebook and scribbled quickly. The list exploded. The new king is the Chicken King's nemesis. The boss, the commander of the shit army. Even if the Demon King is resurrected, we have to take a detour. Su Wan threw herself into her husband's arms, laughing and bursting into tears. Ye Chen, you brave and wise man Hui, the housework mess turned into a magic weapon. The vegetable garden is ruined, the goblin is happy. Qingqing rode the Golden Egg King in circles, gasping for breath. Dad is the chicken god. Mom, the egg ban is lifted. We win. Ye Chen scratched his head in embarrassment, his heart bursting with joy. I lie down and become a hero, the contrast is a nuclear bomb. On the surface, he insisted, it's nothing, it's the daily life of a rural brave. The rice fields are saved, and the division of labor will change tomorrow. You two will sweep up the remains of the shit army. Feng got up, patted him on the shoulder and laughed. Chicken King nemesis. Stay here, the nickname contest is held every day. Li Xiuyin smiled and pushed the list. Number 1 will always be yours. The upgraded shit version of Flying Egg Explosion General. The mother and daughter looked at each other, and the egg argument disappeared. Su Wan rubbed her head and said, Girl, Daddy, I gave you 3 eggs. Let's take care of the housework together. Qingqing hugged her father's legs coquettishly. Dad is the best. Golden Egg King listens to you. Amidst the laughter, the lingering fragrance of rotten tomato soup is still there, the smell of chicken manure gradually dissipates, and the bumpy bumps in the rice fields are peaceful under the moonlight. The village chief's lantern swayed in the distance. The old man's cloudy eyes were round and he poked the ground with his crutch. Yi Yongjie. The goblins are in big trouble. The rice fields to the east of the village have been wiped out, and they have summoned their nest. Tomorrow's meeting, the whole village is waiting for you to host it. The green-skinned king brings hundreds of monsters to take revenge. Everyone's laughter stopped, and Feng smiled evilly and slapped Ye Chen. Chicken King nemesis, prepare for shit battle 2.0. The night wind rose again, the evil spirit was faint, and the hoe was in hand. Ye Chen's heart tightened. Chickens are chasing down half an acre of field, eggs are being beaten and chickens are flying and covered with feces, accompanied by the rustling of rice waves, and fireworks are blue in the night sky. The goblins fled in panic, green shadows darted through the forest, half-pulled rice ears were left behind, and the smell of shit filled the air. Ye Chen put away the hoe and stood still, the shovel blade dripping mud. The brave man's golden light faded away, replaced by a handsome man covered in chicken feathers. The chickens circled back and the Golden Egg King landed on the ground. The arrogant peck on his palm asked for food. Feng suppressed his laughter until his face turned red and his neck was thick. He patted Ye Chen on the shoulder like a drum, the nemesis of the Chicken King, dragged by the village chief himself. The new nickname is Shit Sea Summoner. Li Xiu, please take note. Li Xiu trembled in his notebook, the tip of his pen flew, and his voice trembled with excitement. Upgrade. The ruins of the shit war will remain forever, and the village chief's footprints will become a monument. Su Wan pulled and cleared. He retreated, frowning and fanning the air to drive away the smell. Ye Chen, you go tomorrow and clean up this mess at home first. Qingqing pinched her nose and jumped. Dad, the smell of shit won't go away for 3 days. Golden Egg King, go home and take a bath. The chickens cooed, their wings fanned the shit wind, everyone coughed and dispersed, the night wind carried a faint evil spirit, and the rice fields were as bumpy as the battlefield under the moon. At dawn, the sun pierces the fog and shines in front of the ancestral house. The embers of the blue fire in the chicken coop are still smoking, the magic field is full of potholes, the rice waves are twisting and turning, and the cucumbers and vines soaked in shit soup are as soft as noodles. Ye Chen went out with a hoe, thinking about the revenge of the green-skinned king and hundreds of monsters. His feet stepped on mud and splashed water, and his trouser legs were stained with black juice. Su Wan clinked the spatula on the stove and shouted, "Honey, we are back from the meeting to work on the fields. Qingqing, go do the laundry, yesterday's dirty clothes were piled up." Qingqing hugged the pile of blue light eggs and pouted, "Mom, why do I wash my underwear and you wash your coat? It's not fair. Golden Egg King, tell me." The Golden Egg King arrogantly pecked at the eggshell, cooing in agreement. Feng and Li Xiu crawled out of the woodshed, rubbed their eyes and yawned, "Old Yi, half of the shit has been swept away, the ruins are picturesque. Let's go, let's see you, a brave farmer, preside over the village hall." The village hall is as lively as a vegetable market, with fire pits crackling under the wooden beams, and the choking smoke mixes with the smell of villagers' sweat and rice wine. Farmers numbering 20 or 30 are sitting around a long table, and sickles and hoes are piled in the corner with a cold light. The village chief struck the gong, and the sound was loud and loud, "The goblin is a scourge. The east side of the village is destroyed, and the green-skinned king takes the demon's lair to take revenge. Who has any ideas?" The villagers buzzed and talked, all looking at Ye Chen, but with a sense of ridicule. A strong man slapped the table, his beard fluttering, "That farmer from the Yi family. Last night the chickens screamed and the eggs exploded, and the smell of shit spread for 3 miles. What can a hero who shovels shit do? Legends from the era of devils, now farming dogs." Another fat ant slapped a cattail fan, "The wind rolled the rice wine sour, yes. The rice fields turned into cesspits, and the Green King came to crush his vegetable garden dream. Let's go to battle with sickles." Feng couldn't hold it in anymore and burst out loud. He leaned against the door frame and laughed until he bent over, "Everyone, Boss Yi, last night, the farmers who were patrolling turned into straw pigs, and the green sandbag warriors rushed to the street. Later, he summoned the commander of the feces army, and the chicken feces drowned the goblins. The fat guy in the lead cried for his father and mother. Li Xiu smiled evilly, and came out from the dark corner to shake the list. The boss is always at the top of the list. Flying eggs explode the general's feces. Witness the village chief's footprints. The green-skinned king is here. Shit War 2.0 begins. The villagers roared with laughter, the sickle clanged against the table, and someone sprayed wine, "Haha, rural warrior." The shovel poked the mud dance king. Ye Chen sat there, his face as black as the bottom of the pot, his knuckles turned white as he clenched his hoe, and his heart collapsed. "I have beaten the devil countless times, and now I am bombarded with the nickname of farmer. The green-skinned king and hundreds of monsters are swarming the realm, so do you still have to listen to this?" Despair is like mud filling the head, the brave man cannot hold back his momentum, and the air is as stuffy as a steamer. The village chief coughed, and Ye Chen narrowed his eyes. "Yi Yongzhe, last night's magic skill in the sea of shit, my footprints are still sticky. What do you think?" The villagers' laughter stopped, and their eyes changed. The strong man rubbed his eyes and whispered, "Sea of shit, magic skill." The fat ant stopped her fan in mid-air, her nose twitching. The recollection of the stink, is it a hidden master? A farmer pretending to be a fool? Feng and Li Xiu burst into laughter. Feng pounded the table, "Old Yi, pretend. Call the chicken army to demonstrate." Just when the ridicule came in like a flood, Ye Chen lowered his head and was about to sink to the bottom, his eyes stern, and he burst out before he wanted to show off. Taking a deep breath of the smell of rice wine and sweat in the hall, the warrior's momentum loomed. He took out the magic feed from his pocket with his right hand and flashed a blue light. He slapped the table with his left hand, "Everyone, the green-skinned king of hundreds of monsters. It's just a joke. Let's talk about my rural hero mode first. Last night's egg, the green skins are flooded with shit. Today, the whole village joins the chicken army. Each family will send out 10 magic chickens. I will perform a blue egg meteorite rain plus shit waterfall performance. If you don't believe it, try my feed summoning. There was deathly silence in the hall, and the crackling of the brazier was like a heartbeat. The strong man dropped his sickle to the ground, his eyes were glaring and his mouth was O-shaped. Chicken army. Blue egg meteorite. Farmers summoning magic. His voice was shaking like chaff, and beads of sweat were dripping along his beard. The fat ant's fan fell to the ground, her fat face turned pale and she rubbed her eyes. Hidden master. Commander of Shirtai, a devil-level pervert. Let me borrow 10 chickens. The village chief's crutches pierced the floor, his cloudy eyes flashed, and his beard trembled. Ye Chen. God! The whole chicken army in the village obeyed the order, and I, the old man, took the lead in donating eggs. The villagers stood up suddenly, holding their sickles high in the air and cheering, and rice wine spilled on the floor. Splashing his feet, the smell of sweat turned into a wave of admiration, the nemesis of the Chicken King. Blow up the Green King. Qingqing was dumbfounded and slid against the wall, with a stiff beard. Old Ye, killed you instead? The villagers misunderstood you as a master, and I laughed at you. Li Xiu dropped his book, hugged his head and backed away, and his sinister smile turned into a dry laugh. The list wants to add the villager version. Boss, you are such a peasant, the devil will deter you. The village chief's lantern swayed like a will-o'-the-wisp, and the orange light cast a long shadow on the edge of the paddy fields filled with feces. The old man's crutch poked the ground, making a thud like a war drum. His muddy old eyes stared at the chicken feces residue in the mud, and his nose twitched to smell the stench of sour and rotten eggs. His face was ashen. Ye Chen. What is this sea of shit? The goblins have retreated, but the entire village has been wiped out. The green-skinned king has summoned all the monsters to their lair. The whole village is waiting for you tomorrow morning. If you don't come, I will drag you away myself. He coughed twice, waved his cane, and swayed away, leaving a trail of footprints in the shit pit, splashing with yellow-green juice. On the way home, the sun was scorching hot. The smell of feces in the rice fields was gradually replaced by the fragrance of rice, and Su Wan was making a loud noise at the door of her ancestral house. The water basin splashed on the floor, colorful foam splashed, and the wet clothes made a splashing sound. Su Wan put her hands on her hips, her wet sleeves dripping with water. Qingqing. You wash your underwear and throw it into my basin. We agreed on the division of labor, you pick up the eggs, I cook, and you do all the laundry. Qingqing hugged the golden egg king, and the blue light egg rolled to the ground, splashing water on her face. Mom is biased. Dad said we will do the housework together, but you are lazy. Golden egg king, help me with the fire breath. The golden egg king grumbled in protest, and the blue fire tail flame ironed the corners of his clothes. Qingqing and Li Xiu snickered at the door. Qingqing whispered, Sister-in-law is so hot, the underwear battle escalates. The meeting ended like a carnival. The villagers gathered around Ye Chen and came out of the hall. They slapped him on the back like a drumbeat with scythes on their shoulders. Some people stuffed rice wine bottles and said, Brave man, open the chicken coop in my house. Ye Chen forced himself to smile awkwardly, and his heart was filled with excitement. I lie down and become a village god, a contrast to a nuclear bomb. Qingqing and Li Xiu followed. Qingqing gasped and patted his shoulder. Chicken Army Alliance. The most ridiculous defense in history, and they lost miserably in the nickname contest. Li Xiu picked up his notebook and scribbled, New chapter, Villagers Worship chapter, the boss is invincible. The competition started with a hilarious start, with foam flying from the water basin in the hall and rainbows refracted by the sun. Ye Chen took the lead and patted Qingqing on the shoulder. You, a bearded man who patrols the night and is wrapped in pigs, are called the Laughing Merchant King. When selling goods, you shout, buy one and get shit for free. Qingqing laughed and bent down, but he was angry. Old Ye is ruthless. But you lose, the laundry shovel master. Li Xiu came out of Yin. I take Qingqing's egg-fried princess. Qingqing counterattacked, riding the golden egg king, and pointed at Li Xiu, sneaky and sweep the shit expert, sneaky shit beetle. The book is full of shit. Li Xiu's face turned green, the book hit his arms, and backed away, girl with a vicious tongue. Boss, help me. Su Wan covered her mouth with a trembling smile, rubbed her head and said, my daughter's nickname. Ye Chen finished with a stroke of genius, Li Xiu, the sinful laughing ghost. Qingqing, the quilt-cloaked pig. The whole family voted, the shit beetle came first. The hall was full of laughter. Qingqing beat the ground, his beard was foamy, his face was foamy, and his voice was trembling. Old Ye invented the divine game. I'm a laughing businessman and admitted it, but shit beetle. Li Xiu, you won the prize. Li Xiu crouched in a corner and drew circles, his sinister smile turned into tears, sneaky shit beetle. The list exploded. Boss, this contrast is magical. The king is laughing to death. Su Wan threw herself into Ye Chen's arms, bursting into tears and laughing. Husband is smart, housework quarrels turn into comedy. Qingqing hugged her father's legs and spun around, and the golden egg king cooed in celebration. Dad, the nickname contest is held every day. Mom, I will take care of the laundry, and you will share the underwear. Mother and daughter looked at each other, laughing and reconciling, and the bubbles in the basin were like rainbow bubbles. Ye Chen walked in, his feet were slippery with water, and he sighed inwardly, housework is trivial and noisy. Desperate to suppress, he cleared his throat, stop. The nickname contest has begun. Diversion of attention, the loser washes the whole family's clothes. Everyone was stunned. Su Wan wiped her hands, what? Ye Chen smiled evilly, and the brave man's wisdom flashed, rule, give each other nicknames, the most ruthless and clumsy person wins. Qingqing and Li Xiu came first, laughing at the debt last night. Qingfeng's eyes lit up and he shouted loudly, okay. Lao Yi, you're a rainbow shit farmer. Li Xiu smiled gloomily and said, upgrade to the underpants brave. Su Wan Qingqing laughed and jumped, Dad, fight back. She was laughing loudly, rolled her eyes, sneaked into the backyard, held 3 blue light eggs, and murmured, try magic dyeing clothes. Mom's clothes turn into rainbows, it's so beautiful. She crushed the eggshells, splashed the blue light juice into the basin, bubbled, soaked the pile of clothes, and boom, rainbow mist exploded. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and purple, as gorgeous as fire and silver flowers, and smelly like rotten eggs. The whole family's clothes were dyed in rainbow colors, their underwear shimmered in 7 colors, and Su Wan's coat was like a peacock. Qingqing was dumbfounded, with blue juice splashing on her face. Oh, failed. Su Wan rushed out, stared at rainbow underwear, clenched her fists, Qingqing. You stole blue eggs. The whole family ran away naked. Ye Chen scratched his head, rainbow ho dripping juice, the egg ban was loosened too quickly. Qingqing and Li Xiu poked their heads through the door, laughing until they cramped. Qingqing sprayed wine, Rainbow Brave Legion. The new nickname is 7-Color Shit Farmer. Li Xiu shook his notebook and wrote, Explosion. Qingqing's Princess of Dyed Bomb. The villagers passed by and rubbed their eyes. Ye family's magic skill. Rainbow Arms wore green skin king. The misunderstanding escalated, and they looked at her with admiration. Ye Chen's eyes flashed like a knife, the rainbow ho dripped blue juice, the fog in the backyard of the ancestral house still lingered, the rainbow underwear hanging on the bamboo pole shone with 7 colors of light, the smell of eggs mixed with the fragrance of rice floated to the east of the village, and the evil spirit in the distance was like ink seeping into the soil. He growled, Old Wang's green-skinned pet. Undercover fatty, the green-skinned king's chess piece. Let's go investigate, Li Xiu leads the way. Qin Feng's eyes were as bright as a wolf, he slapped his thigh and laughed, his beard fluttering, old Yi, that goblin nemesis farmer online. Shit-shocking hero turned pet hunter, new nickname, nuclear bomb. Li Xiu smiled in front of him, snapping notes in his notebook, his voice trembling with excitement. The list explodes. The Iron Chain Green Ball Master chapter begins. Boss, you lead the team. Shithole ruins 2. 0 reservations. Su Wan stared at the pile of rainbow clothes with her hands on her hips. The water basin was still foaming, her nose was twitching, and she said, Ye Chen, solve the streaking crisis at home first. Qingqing, you are the culprit of dyeing clothes, all the cleaning and cooking are covered. Qingqing hugged the golden egg king. He stepped back, blue light eggshell crumbs stuck to his face, pouted and jumped. Mom. The housework competition has begun, whoever has more will win, and the loser will wear rainbow underwear to go to the village. The golden egg king cooed in agreement, burning the bamboo pole with tail flames, and rainbow cloth strips flying like colorful butterflies. Everyone laughed and pushed out the door. The sun was scorching the dirt in the backyard, the pits and pits of feces were steaming, the cucumber vines in the magic field were soft and dripping with juice, and the rice waves were twisted like a drunken man. Ye Chen took the lead with a rainbow hoe, his trouser legs were stained with blue juice and flashed, and his footsteps stepped on the mud and splashed water. Qin Feng and Li Xiu followed and complained repeatedly. Su Wan and her daughter were arguing as they walked. Qingqing, sweep the floor 10 times, and I will cook 20 pots of rice. Su Wan counted her fingers and splashed water on her wet sleeves. Qingqing rode the golden egg king flying low, and the eggshells jingled on the ground. Mom, I picked up 50 eggs, and you swept the floor and lost miserably. The village road was lively, and the villagers carried sickles to patrol the fields. When they saw Ye Chen's rainbow army, they widened their eyes and rubbed them, sweat dripping down their faces. Village god. Rainbow chickens are preparing for war. Meet the Green King. Shit, take a detour. The strong man laughed at the male sickle dropped to the ground yesterday, his mouth trembled in an O shape. 7-colored shit farmer, magic costume. I will donate 20 chickens. The fat ant fanned wildly, the rice wine smelled sour, her fat face turned pale and excited. Hidden master. The old Wang family goblin, the nemesis is gone. Lao Wang's family is at the west end of the village. The hut is tilted under the tree with a crooked neck. The cucumber garden is full of pits and bite marks. The iron chains jingle. The green-skinned, knee-high green balls are gnawing on the melon peels, growling. The iron rings on their necks have red marks, and their eyes are green and will-o'-the-wisps. There was a dark hole in the door of the hut. Lao Wang peeked his head furtively, his bald head was shiny and he squinted his eyes. He sniffed the wind with his nostrils pointing toward the sky, and the cucumber juice dripped in his hand. Lao Wang is a strange village tyrant who likes to hide strange pets. Last time, he raised magic slugs that sprayed slime and flooded the streets. This time, the green ball is even more evil. Ye Chen led the team to approach, smashing the ground with his hoe, and the soil splashed with a stinky smell. Old Wang. Open the door, where are the green pets hiding? There is a demon in the east of the village, you are an undercover fat guy. Qin Feng shouted in a loud voice to hit the ground, and bent down to pat the tree with a smile. Fairy nemesis farmer, poke the green ball with the shovel. Li Xiu, draw a picture. Li Xiu squatted in the grass with a smile, his pen flying, and his voice shook like a sieve. Old Wang's pet picture. Boss, you pull the chain, and you are nicknamed the Pet Shit Commander. Lao Wang stared at the crack in the door, beads of sweat rolled down his bald head, and his voice was high-pitched and trembling. Ye brave. My pet is harmless. The knee-high green ball is called Little Fatty. It gnaws melons but does not bite anyone. Last night, the goblin in the east of the village retreated, and it saved my garden. As soon as the door opened, the green ball was dragged into the house by the iron chain. The jingling sound was deafening, and cucumber residue splashed around his ankles. Su Wan frowned and fanned the melon smell. Qingqing rode the golden egg king and poked her head. "Uncle, you are little fat and green, like a goblin boss. Dad, try smashing the eggs." Ye Chen, the brave man, was suppressed, his desire was suppressed first, and his heart collapsed. "I am the devil butcher, now check the pet green ball." He was ridiculed. He lowered his head and turned dark, his knuckles turned white when he pinched the hoe, and the air smelled of a stuffy steamer. Feng couldn't hold it in anymore, and he beat the tree and laughed. "Old Ye, the green ball pet owner. The fairy foster father has been upgraded, and the Shihai summoner is raising green skins." Li Xiu jumped out of Yin, "The whole village's chicken army can defeat the pets. Boss, hit the green ball with your egg meteorite, and the show is on." As more and more villagers gathered around, their scythes flashed and buzzed, and the strong man whispered, "Old Wang hides monsters. Ye Chen investigates, shit war 3.0. The fat ant's cattail fan stopped in the air, and the smell of sweat filled the air. A brave farmer turns into a detective, a master of hiding. Ye Chen's face was as dark as sinking to the bottom of the valley. He held the broken handle of the hoe, inhaled the smelly evil spirit of the melon, and his eyes exploded. He took out the magic feed and the blue light flashed, his right hand turned into a wand, and he patted Lao Wang on the shoulder with his left hand. "Old Wang, pets are harmless. Try my brave props. Sprinkle water for purification, and the green skin will appear in its original form." Lao Wang backed away dumbfounded, his bald head trembling. "Don't. I'm a chubby little boy." Feng and Li Xiu burst out laughing. Feng hugged his belly. "Wand farmer. The prop turns into a shovel, and the water creates a waterfall of shit." Everyone laughed and taunted like waves. Ye Chen waved his magic wand, and the blue light feed was scattered and made a gurgling sound. He wanted to purify the water mist, but unexpectedly, the brave props backfired. Boom! Dark clouds gathered in an instant, rain poured down like milk, and the sound of water roared in the direction of the ancestral house. Su Wan screamed far away, "Ye Chen! You flooded the house with rain." Rainbow clothes soaked in the bath, and the whole family ran naked. The backyard was filled with water, the foam basin rolled, and rainbow underwear floated on the village road like a 7-color flag. Qingqing flew away on the golden egg king, with water splashing on her face and laughing. "Dad's magic." Mom lost the housework competition, and the cooking turned into fish soup. The village road was suddenly covered in mud, and her footsteps were slippery. Ye Chen took the lead and plopped down Lao Wang's cucumber garden. Rainbow Ho flew into the sky, and his face was filled with mud and fishy juice. Feng sat next to the green leather, his beard soaked in water like seaweed. Li Xiu's sinister smile turned into a scream, and his notebook was soaked with ink. "Boss, the shit pit has been upgraded." Lao Wang's garden shit pit. It turned out that there was a large cesspit hidden under Lao Wang's cucumber garden. The rain washed away the cover, and the yellow and green excrement soup fountain exploded. The stench was like the poisonous mist of the devil, and everyone fell into it, making it bubble. Ye Chen's head floated, his eyes were covered with shit juice, and his heart exploded with despair. An undercover investigation turned into a shit bath. Lao Wang knelt beside the pit, his bald head shaking like a rattle, and he screamed and trembled, "My garden, a magic fat pit. Special excrement soup for raising green balls, God Ye, have mercy on me." The green-skinned fat man broke the iron chain and ran out of the pit. The green-skinned fat man gnawed on the excrement melons, and his eyes were green and taunting. The villagers gathered around the pit and glared, and the strong man poked the mud with his sickle, his eyes popped out and his mouth was crooked, investigating the shit pit. "Yi Yongye, a man of God. Shit C 2.0 is coming in person." The fat ant dropped the pit with a fan, her fat face was ashen and rubbed her nose. "Hidden master. Goblin nemesis farmer, invincible commander of shit, I will also donate the fat pit." Feng vomited shit juice, his beard was yellow and green, and he laughed and died. "Old Ye, fight against the shit bath. The new king of the shit pit brave, I win the nickname contest. Li Xiu hugged the book and floated on the water, smiling sinisterly and crying, the list is all wet, confirmed by the green-skinned undercover. Boss, you are a shit-faced devil. Su Wan came over Qingqing, slipped on the waterway and fell to the edge of the pit. Su Wan's wet clothes were close to her body. He smiled tremblingly with his arms akimbo. The housework is overwhelmed, you are broadcasting a shit battle. I win the competition, sweeping the floor turns into digging a hole. The Qingqing golden egg king spits fire and steams shit, the blue fire sizzles, and the eggy heat wave reaches the sky. Dad, smash the egg into the green ball. Resolve the crisis. Ye Chen burst out with excitement. The brave man in the shit pit hummed with momentum, grabbed the remaining blue light eggs, crushed 3 of them and threw them out. Boom. Eggs and meteorites rain down on the green-skinned fat man. Blue fire explodes, the green ball rolls to the ground and twitches, the begging for mercy turns into green smoke, revealing the little fairy shell inside, chirping harmlessly. Lao Wang crawled into the pit and knelt on the ground, his bald head touched the feces and kowtowed, his voice shaking like chaff. Ye Chen. Little fatty is a real pet, disguised as a green shell, I don't know about the goblin. Thank you for your life, the magic egg smashing skill, the devil king level. The villagers cheered loudly. Holding the sickle high and splashing feces, the sweaty heat wave burst into worship, the egg defeats the demon. The village god is invincible in the shit pit, and the whole village's chicken army obeys orders. Feng slid to the bottom of the pit, dumbfounded and hugged his legs. Old Yi, the shit bath is reversed. The villagers worship again, I'm laughing at you. Li Xiu picked up the book, made a face with ink, and backed away with a smile. Boss, the green skin is scattered, the undercover false alarm. But the shithole will stay forever, nicknamed the egg-smashing shit god. Su Wan pulled Ye Chen ashore. The shit juice dripped in her heart and burst into laughter. Hubby, housework is flooded, wisdom turns into comedy. Qingqing hugged her dad and spun around, and the golden egg king pecked the green shell to celebrate. Dad, the housework competition is a tie. Mom, I will carry the broom in the shit pit. The laughter in the shit pit ended, and the sun steamed the smell of shit into the sky. The evil spirit in the east of Mixiang village became stronger, and hundreds of monsters were faintly laughing. Lao Wang wiped his bald head, smiled brightly, pulled Ye Chen's sleeve and trembled. Ye Chen, thank you for saving the pet. I'm holding a whole village party to celebrate the Chicken Army Alliance. Set up a table in the hut, and have a cucumber shit soup banquet. All the village chiefs are invited. Let's open it tomorrow night. Feng's eyes lit up, patting Lao Wang on the back and splashing juice. Party. A new story about the shit soup feast, hosted by Lao Yi. Li Xiuyin laughed at the diary. The villagers gathered around the sickle and cheered. Ink smoke billowed in the east of the village. In the distance, the Green King roared faintly. The party was in chaos like the eve of a storm. The sun hits the west of the village like a fireball. The yellow and green soup from the cesspit steams with heat, and the stench goes straight into the sky mixed with sour cucumbers. The villagers hold their sickles high and splash mud in cheers, and beads of sweat drip down the strong men's necks. Ye Chen climbed onto the bank with his face covered in feces juice. The broken handle of a rainbow hoe was inserted into the mud, and the 3 remaining blue light eggs were sultry in his arms. He wiped his eyes with feces film, and his heart felt like he was falling into an abyss. I slaughtered the devil with my hands, and broadcast the feces bath to the whole village. The tide of ridicule is overwhelming, and the brave man's momentum is about to shatter into slag. Su Wan wet her sleeves and swung the water to pull his arm, her chest heaving with laughter. Husband, the shit god is invincible. We're tied at home, let's go home and make shit soup, and I'll be better at cooking. Qingqing hugged her father's legs and spun around. The golden egg king squirted blue steamed shit on his ankles. The eggshells were hot and sizzling, and the girl's face was powdered with blue juice spots on her face. Dad, upgrade the egg cannon. Mom, I'll carry the shit broom, let's come again in the streaking underwear recycling competition. Feng's beard was as yellow and green as seaweed and he shook the water. He laughed and hugged his belly and slid to the bottom of the pit. His voice was as loud as thunder, "Old Ye, the god of shit bath reversal. The egg-smashing shit god was crowned king. I lost the nickname contest temporarily, but the party shit soup banquet, party shit pit, making a reservation." Li Xiu hugged the wet book and floated on the water, with a grimace on his face and a sinister smile as he cried, "Boss, the green-skinned false alarm will always stay at the top of the list. There are 3 blue eggs left, and the feed will backfire on Zhao Yu, and the next chapter, Chicken Army Shit Waterfall, will begin." Bald Wang touched his feces 3 times, his shiny face folded and trembled, and he tugged on Ye Chen's sleeves. "Ye Chen, there will be a banquet in the thatched cottage tomorrow night, and the whole village will celebrate the chicken army with cucumber shit soup. I will donate the secret recipe of the manure pit, and use the green shells as dishes. The strong man from the village has bulging bull eyes, the scythe poked into the air and buzzed, the village god donated 30 chickens. The shit pit is invincible, and the green-skinned king is surrounded by eggs." The fat ant scooped up the pit with a cattail fan, her fat face was ashen and she rubbed her nose and said, "Hidden master. I have 10 magic cows, take a bath in shit soup for beauty." With muddy feet and slippery feet, everyone gathered back to the ancestral house in the east of the village. The rainbow underpants on the village road shone like flags, and the smell of wind rolls, eggs, fishy rice, fragrant shit, and 3 flavors hit their heads. Ye Chen took the lead in carrying the hoe, his trouser legs were blue and his knees were shining, his footsteps were muddy and splashed with water, and his heart was as depressed as the thunder before the storm, retirement, lying down and farming, and becoming a shit star. His teammates laughed at the nuclear bombing, and the villagers worshipped him. The contrast was so cute that his fists turned white and his knuckles cracked. As Su Wan walked, she pinched Qingqing, "Daughter, there is a tie in the housework competition. I win in the cooking of rice and fish soup, but you lose miserably in sweeping the cesspit." Qingqing flew low on the golden egg king, and the egg shells rolled and jingled in response. "Mom, pick up 50 pairs of underwear, I win." "Dad's ruling." Feng and Li Xiu followed with follow-up strikes. Feng slapped the bubbles on his thighs and said, "Sister-in-law Qingqing, a league of housework shit battles. Lao Yi is the referee, and the loser wears a green leather shell to go shopping." Li Xiuyin turned over the wet book with a smile, and his voice shook. "Housework chapters on the list: Queen of Naked Panties, Qingqing; Queen of Shit in Fish Soup, Su Wan." The backyard of the ancestral house is flooded with water, the foam basin is rolling and gurgling, the magic rice fields are soaking in the soup, the cucumber vines are soft and dripping with juice, 50 magic flying chickens are flapping their wings and splashing with water, and the rainbow feathers are shining in 7 colors, and the fishy heat wave is hitting the face. Ye Chen pushed the door open and entered the hall, took off his shit clothes and threw them into the basin. The hot water bucket steamed into the air and smelled the fragrance of soap. He took a bath and took stock. 3 blue light eggs were left in his sweltering arms, half of the magic feed blue crystal was broken, and the backlash summoned rain to bathe in comedy. 30 chickens were donated by the villagers of the Chicken Army Alliance, and a total of 80 chickens were prepared to fight against the Green King. The arrogant leader of the Golden Egg King was invincible in breathing fire and steaming shit. The brave man's momentum is restrained and trimmed. He closes his eyes and takes a deep breath of water vapor. His muscle lines are faintly shining with golden light, and his strength has quietly increased to 1 level. The rural mode is fully activated, the eggs, cannons, shit, waterfalls, and chickens are flying together, and the devil-level potential is suppressed and ready to explode. Su Wan brought rice porridge with hot steam in her nose, and the spoon clinked in the bowl. "Husband, make shit soup. We divide the housework, I cook and you clean, the evil spirit is strong in the east of the village, don't lie flat for too long." Qingqing rushed to the basin with the Golden Egg King, blue fire nourishing water steaming. "Dad, chicken army training. Egg meteorite rain to practice your accuracy, hit mom fish soup." While the chaos was turning into rainbow porridge, Li Xiu pulled Ye Chen's sleeves and whispered in his ear with a trembling voice, "Boss, we just patrolled the village. The strange neighbor Lao Wang's family is hiding in green-skinned pet. A knee-high green ball, a chain around his neck, gnawing at his cucumber garden. The leader looks like a fat man. The green-skinned king is undercover." Ye Chen's eyes flashed, he clenched the rainbow hoe, the air buzzed, and in the distance, the demonic aura in the east of the village was as thick as ink, and the monsters snickered faintly. The sun sets in the west, and the blood-red sunset scorches the mud in the backyard. Ye Chen put on a new robe and carried a hoe, and the blue egg feed was warm, and he led the chicken army to patrol the fields. The wings of 80 flying chickens were buzzing in formation, the golden egg king's outpost sprayed blue flames to burn the cucumber stems, and the fishy eggs were filled with waves of fire. The Qingqing egg riding king cheered, "Dad, the chicken army is invincible. The demonic ink from the east of the village is oozing out, and the green-skinned king is here to smash the eggs." Su Wan placed her hands on her hips and counted the household chores. After the field patrol is done sweeping the floor, the loser is cooking shit soup. Feng and Li Xiu clapped their legs, chicken flying show. Lao Yi, summon a shit waterfall to warm up. Ye Chen hoed and pestled the ground with splashes of soil. The momentum was about to rise but the situation was low. The chicken army clucked and the egg rain test-fired. Blue-like meteorites hit the field ridges with a roar. The potholes were smoking. The villagers stared from a distance. The village god is promoted. Egg cannons and nuclear bombs. I will donate 100 sickles. After taking stock of strength, the lights fell on the west huts in the village, and the shit soup feast began to predict the absurd storm. Tomorrow night, the lanterns in the thatched hut are red, the cucumber shit soup pot is bubbling and the stench is like a magic mist. On the table are green shell crisps, magic egg fried rice, and fat pit cucumber stew. Villagers are buzzing and talking outside the sickle pile door, and the sweaty, stinky rice wine is sour and rotten. The 80-year-old chickens in the thatched hut are on alert, and the golden egg king, with its shell shining blue, squats on the corner of the table and pecks the soup arrogantly. Lao Wang, with his shiny bald head and a trembling bowl, paid homage to Ye Chen, "God Yi, your seat. The whole village celebrates the chicken army, and I offer you 3 bowls of shit soup." Feng Dahu toasted, his beard trembling with foam flying from his wine. "Old Yi, party shit hero, is online. Green-skinned crisps, try the goblin flavor." Li Xiu laughed sinisterly in his notebook, and his voice trembled with excitement. List banquet chapter explosion. Shit soup summoner, green shell farmer, egg banquet king, nicknamed nuclear bomb. Su Wan sniffed the soup and wrinkled her nose and laughed, "Honey, after the housework banquet, whoever drinks too much will sweep the hut." Qingqing picked up the green shells and pouted and jumped, "Dad, eat the demon shell to fill the eggs." "Mom, the fish soup is better than the shit soup." The laughter is in full swing, the demonic aura in the east of the village explodes like ink, the green-skinned king roars and shakes the ground, 100 goblins knee-high green balls scurry along the village road, the iron chains jingle and gnaw at the potholes in the cucumber garden, and the will-o'-the-wisps with green eyes are approaching in the west of the village. The door of the hut was banged, the green skins rolled in like green waves, the shit soup pot rolled into a yellow-green fountain, and the smelly mist rose into the sky, and the villagers screamed and dropped their sickles to the ground. The strong man's bullseye exploded and he threw himself on the street, the green-skinned king's army. "Village god, help me, shithole 3.0. The fat ant smashed the green ball with her palm fan, her fat face turned pale and trembled, "Hidden master. The goblins are in chaos, the banquet has turned into a battlefield." Lao Wang hit his bald head on the table and knelt down, screaming and shaking the sieve, "I am a fat pit causing trouble. Ye Chen, the chicken army is here." Ye Chen's chopstick snapped, shit soup dripped from his lips, and his heart exploded with despair. A banquet turned into a battle between monsters. Feng and Li Xiu's nicknames bombarded like machine guns, "Old Yi, the party shit hero. The green-skinned army smashed the banquet, shit soup demon king nemesis. Li Xiuyin smiled and ran under the table, the climax of the list. Boss, egg cannon performance. At the bottom of the depression, Ye Chen's brave momentum exploded with a buzz, and the rural mode was fully activated. Grab 2 blue eggs, crush them and throw them in the air, and the egg cannon boomed. Blue meteorites rained down on the greenskin group, and the green smoke dispersed and screamed. Su Wan flew into the sky with a broomstick, whipped the wet broom with a water whip and slapped the green ball. She smiled tremblingly and said with her hands on her hips, "The housework props are here. Husband, let's start the demon sweeping competition, and the loser will drink shit soup." Qingqing rode the golden egg king, sprayed blue flames to steam the green skin, and the eggshells jingled. Dad, the chicken army is working together. Mom, the flying broomstick is so handsome. The 80-year-old chickens flew together with their cuckoos, their wings buzzed and rained eggs, the rainbow feathers flashed and a 7-color shit waterfall called back. No, Ye Chen's feed was sprayed with blue light for purification, the chicken's mouth sprayed a mixture of feces and eggs, the green king's iron chain broke and roared into the thatched hut, the cuckoos turned into smoke and the little goblin shell chirped harmlessly. Feng misunderstood and blew himself up. The bearded man grabbed a sickle and slashed the air with a shit soup. He threw himself on the street. He hugged his belly and laughed and screamed, "Old Ye's magic. My businessman kills monsters." His nickname is the Sickle Shit Merchant, and he blew himself up. Li Xiu smiled sinisterly and shot Feng's ass with a poisonous dart. The book was filled with ink and dizzy. "Boss, my teammates cheated 1.0. I stabbed you." The guest turned into a painter, and the green-skinned self-painting was hilarious. The villagers raised their sickles in the air and cheered loudly, and the strong man shouted with sweat, "The egg broom is invincible." The village god's family defeated the demon army and donated hundreds of chickens. The fat ant fanned the shit mist, her fat face blushed in admiration, the family of hidden masters. Housework war gods, the shit feast will be passed down forever. The demons retreated and scattered in the east of the village. The green shells of the hut's residual soup covered the ground. Everyone laughed and collapsed around the fire. Su Wan poked Ye Chen's shoulder with the broom, and threw her wet sleeves into her arms. "Hubby, the housework dispute is resolved. Sweeping the demons is a draw, and I win the soup." Qingqing hugged her father and spun around, while the golden egg king pecked the shell to celebrate. "Mom and Dad are the best together. Housework turns into a battle with demons," laughing so hard. Feng pulled out his dart and rubbed his butt, and slapped his leg dumbfounded. "Old Yi, contrast the nuclear bomb. Ridicule turned to worship, I love the countryside." Li Xiu's book was filled with soup notes, and he laughed tremblingly, "Become a god on the list. Broom flying mom, egg cannon dad, the family is invincible." Lao Wang climbed on the table and laughed and kowtowed. "Ye Chen's family, the shit soup banquet has been upgraded to a demon banquet. The whole village will be united forever." Outside the bathhouse of Feng and Li Xiu, his beard was cut yellow and green and he laughed loudly. "Old Yi takes a bath in shit to become an immortal. The farmer brave evolves into a shit immortal." Li Xiu smiled darkly and squatted under the door to draw. The repair chapter begins. 3 blue eggs are in stock, the chicken army is 80, the list is preheated, party shit hero. There was laughter in the hall, and Ye Chen lightly hit the edge of the basin with his fist, water splashed everywhere, and he pressed suppressing a smile, "Shut up. At tomorrow's dinner, there will be a nickname contest for me to kill you." The villagers passed by the window, and the strong man carried the newly donated chicken coop. The night wind is like ghost claws scratching the tiles of thatched hut, whistling and low, mixed with the muffled roar of the ink rolling in the east of the village. The green-eyed ghost fire is faintly locked on the red lantern, and the jingling of iron chains in the stinking fog is like a sickle grinding the soul. The leftover soup in the shit soup pot was yellow-green clumps, green shell crisps were crunched and crushed on the ground, the villagers were filled with sweat, stinky rice wine and sour rot, and their laughter stopped abruptly as if they had been strangled. Ye Chen pinched the broken pieces of his chopsticks into his palms, his knuckles turned white and veins popped out, and his heart felt like he was drowning in ink. The demon war has just ended, and the green-skinned king is roaring again. After retiring, he lay down and became a human shield to defend the village. The whole family laughed and burst into laughter. He glanced at the east of the village and the dark clouds were looming over him. His heroic aura was suppressed like a lead weight and his chest sank. Feng's bearded wine foam dried up, his eyes suddenly dimmed, he rubbed his buttocks and growled, "Old Ye, that will-o'-the-wisp in the east of the village. I'll tell you the inside story of the green-skinned king, my buddy, tomorrow morning. Talk about the magic chicken business first, put aside the crisis later." Li Xiaoyin laughed and dizzy while fishing for soup. This page's climax of shit soup monster banquet was as twisted as a ghost painting, and his voice shook with fear. "Boss, the crisis on the list has begun. Green eyes are locked in the hut, and one egg is left to prepare for war." Su Wan's shoulder was poked with a broom, her sleeves were wet and cold. Wrinkled her nose and sniffed the smell of ink and pushed Ye Chen's arm. "Husband, the evil spirit is as thick as shit mist. Sweep away the evil spirits in the housework, patrol the countryside at night to prevent green skin." Qingqing hugged the golden egg king's eggshell to burn her legs. The girl's face was pale and she pursed her lips and whispered, "Dad, the chicken army cuckoo police quit. Mom, the fish soup is cold, the demon is shouting to grab the rice." Lao Wang, with his shiny bald head, climbed up from the table, screamed and trembled and knelt down. "Ye Chen, the secret recipe of the fat pit is causing trouble. 2 green-skinned shell crisps escaped, and the village east is so angry that my cucumber garden is fried." The strong man's bulging sickle shook the air, beads of sweat hit the ground, and he shouted, "Village god, the night is dark and cloudy. Donate 100 chickens to arrive tomorrow, and the green-skinned king's chain army will defend." The fat ant fanned her cattails and the mist turned into black wind. Her fat face was livid, she rubbed her nose and trembled. "Hidden master, banquet become a vigil. My magic cow cowers in the cowshed, my heart stops when I hear the monster roar." The crowd gathered around the hut door, the night wind carried green shell fragments and jingled, the rainbow underpants flag on the village road swayed like a ghost flag in the wind, the cracks in the ground sizzled with ink, and the iron chain sounded like a soul-locking song. Ye Chen led the way out with a hoe, his new robe was stained with mold and smelly, his footsteps were muddy and splashed with water, a blue egg in his arms was as hot as a heartbeat, and the magic feed was crushed and half-squeezed to stab the flesh in the blue crystal in his palm. The rural mode is at the bottom, the chicken army is 80 years old and ready for war, there is only 1 egg cannon left, and the shit waterfall is waiting to explode. The despair in his heart is like ink filling his lungs. The hands of the brave demon slayer turned into a farmer keeping vigil, and the tide of ridicule was overwhelming. The dark shadow of the rice waves swaying in the backyard, the 80-year-old flying chicken cooing and curling its wings around the thatched hut, the blue flame of the golden egg's shell is weak, squatting on the corner of the table and pecking at the shell, and the rainbow feathers dim and the smell of the egg fades away. Ye Chen sprinkled feed with blue light for purification, the chicken mouth sprayed feces and eggs test-fired into the small pit on the field, and the green smoke dispersed. The villagers stared at the distance and rubbed their eyes, the village god is patrolling at night. The egg cannon suppresses the demon, and my sickle is sharpened. But the roar from the east of the village intensified, the green-eyed ghost fire was like 100 needles piercing the night sky, the sound of iron chains dragging the floor and scraping earth was very close, ink vapor flooded the village road like a tide, and cucumber stalks withered and dripped black juice. Su Wan whipped the broom and whipped it in the air, sniffing the ink with wet sleeves. "Husband, night shift in housework. Sweep the ink gas, loser cooks the demon soup." Qingqing rode the golden egg king and flew low to scout, the eggshells rolled and jingled, and the blue flames swept away the black mist. "Dad, the little green-skinned army is escaping." "Mom, flying on a broomstick at night is so handsome, but the roar is panicking." Feng and Li Xiao followed him and clapped their legs and whispered, "Old Ye, keep watch at the shit hero night whistle. The inside story of the green-skinned king, my buddy will reveal it tomorrow morning." Li Xiu smiled secretly and glanced at the ink, crisis list, Mohu farmer, warm up. During the night patrol to the east of the village, Lao Wang's cucumber garden was filled with potholes and boiling with black juice. Two green-skinned crisps were escaping and chirping against the iron chain. The little goblin with a knee-high green ball was harmless but attracted an army. Black clouds pressed down on the garden like a mountain collapsing. The strong man threw his sickle into the air and buzzed, his bull's eyes were frightened and he roared, "Old Wang, the demon escaped again." There was a dispute over the destruction of the garden, and the neighbor's two dogs' cowshed was smashed. The fat ant smashed the green ball with her palm fan, her fat face turned pale and trembled. Hidden master, night crisis. The demons are escaping in series, and the village alliance is split. Lao Wang is bald. Kneeling in the mud and knocking on Ye Chen, Ye Chen, my secret recipe is to feed the shells, and the escape from disaster is upgraded. Two dogs are grinding my house with scythes, and there will be a dispute tomorrow. Ye Chen hoed and pestled the soil, splashing black juice on his robe, and the depression in his heart was on the verge of exploding. Farming in peace turned into a demon whistle, and the neighbors were fighting internally and externally, and were attacked by a double flank. He needed to feed blue crystal powder into powder, roared to summon the chicken army, and the rain pressed down on the green shell. The blue light meteorite hit the garden with a roar and smoke, and he chirped and screamed, the shell shattered harmlessly. But the low roars were intertwined from far and near. The will-o'-the-wisp locked on his back, and the hair on his back exploded, and the brave man's momentum was like a candle in the wind. At dawn, the ink smoke in the east of the village roared and thundered, the chicken army shrank in exhaustion. Ye Chen's eyes were black and green, and his green robe was stained with ink and smelled. He led the crowd back to the hut and poured hot water into their nostrils. They took a bath and took stock of despair. One blue egg, all the feed was broken and backfired. Su Wan held the porridge spoon clinking and the rice was fragrant. Husband, I'll do your housework overnight, and the tie will turn into a loss. Qingqing hugged the egg king into the basin of blue flame steamed water and simmered it. Dad, the chicken army defeated the little demon in the night battle. Mom, add green shells to the porridge. Feng and Li Xiu smiled sinisterly at the door. Old Yi, the night whistle shit fairy. Brother, the carriage bell is ringing. Luxury goods are online and mocking the countryside. Sure enough, the carriage rumbled on the village road, the ringing was crisp and shrill, mixed with the smell of city perfume lavender to offset the stench of shit, and the car curtains were embroidered with dragons and phoenixes embroidered with gold silk, and they stopped in front of the thatched house. Businessman friend Zhang Fu jumped into the car, with a shiny golden robe and a fat face and a smooth smile. There was a mountain of luxury goods in the trunk. New silk clothes, crystal shoes, perfume bottles and gold cups, city cakes and butter piled in the snow, sweet milk fragrance scented the village road, and the fishy excrement fog. The villagers' eyes widened and they rubbed their noses and sniffed, God of the city. Luxury dominates the village, and my cucumber garden will lose miserably. Zhang Fu's nostrils flicked a handkerchief to blow the odor, his fat face twisted with a strange yin and yang look. Brother Qin, this is ruining the village excrement fog. Devil's Cave. Before we talk about the magic chicken business, let's give a gift first. Yi Yongzhe, the luxury farmer. He threw his silk robe into Ye Chen's arms, and it was as smooth as a water snake and the lavender was pungent. Feng slapped his legs and Humafe laughed. Old Yi, a god's nickname. The urban silk robe matches the shit robe, the evolved luxury version of the farmer. Li Xiu sneaked to the side of the box, hiding the crystal shoes in his sleeves and trembling with a sinister smile. Boss, secretly hiding the list. The shoe thief assassin, self-destructed. Su Wan's eyes lit up and she wetted her sleeves and grabbed the silk skirt. She sniffed the perfume and wrinkled her nose with excitement. Husband, new clothes and housework prizes. Qingqing, Mom wears a red dress and you blue, the winner is cooking soup and sweeping the floor. Qingqing rode the egg king and hit the box and jingled. The girl pouted and hugged the gold silk cloak. Mom, I want to ride an egg show. The housework is assigned to Dad, and the loser wears a green shell to go shopping. The two of them fought and the skirts flew into the air, and the cream cake hit the ground in a pile of dirty mud, sweet and rancid. Ye Chen's silk robe is funny and tight, and the cracks in the muscle-bulging robe are gleaming with golden light, and his heart explodes with embarrassment. A brave man slays demons wearing a tattered robe, but the city is extravagant and mocks the countryside. The nicknames were bombarded like a hail of arrows. He fisted the corners of his robe and tore it, feeling so depressed that he couldn't even laugh. Zhang Fu's fat face was filled with laughter, and he fanned his handkerchief and slapped the cream. Master Yi, the Demon King's nemesis is farming shit fields. The chicken army sells it to the city at 80, and the price is doubled, but the village East Mohu, the Green Skin King's inside story, the Demon King's remnants are secretly assisting. The demon army joins forces with the demons, the village is in crisis, the business is gone. The words exploded like thunder, and the villagers' strong men dropped their sickles to the ground, and the bull's-eye bulged, and the beads of sweat froze and shouted, the Demon King's remnants. The village god can't hold on, I can't hold on. Donate the chicken and unsubscribe. The fat ant smashed the box with a cattail leaf fan and her fat face turned pale. Information from the city god. Luxury is overwhelming, the demon is double-handed, the master of hiding will lose. Lao Wang, a bald man, knelt on the box and knocked. Ye Chen, the demon is trying to escape. Two neighbor dogs surrounded my garden with sickles, and the dispute escalated and they killed people. Two dogs on the village road led a strong man with a rumbling mud foot, and the sickle buzzed and polished and roared, Old Wang, the green shell destroyed my cow sheet. Before the extravagant banquet, let's start a civil war. Qin Feng misunderstood and grabbed butter and threw it on the street. The big Hu cake laughed and screamed, Old Yi, luxury shit dealer. The devil's party information, my business is ruined. Li Xiu smiled sinisterly and shot Zhang Fu's robe crookedly with his shoe hidden in the sleeve, and his book was full of ink, the magic chapter on the list. Silk Robe Farmer, and Devil King Green Skin. Su Wan competed for her skirt and tore strips, with wet sleeves and cream spots on her hips. Daughter, the mother of the new clothes wins. Husband, the housework monster war is about to begin. Qingqing pouted, the Egg King blew out her steaming skirt and said, Mom, Dad, let it go. Chicken army fitting show. Ye Chen was at the peak of despair. His silk robe tightened around his chest, and Mo roared as he dragged the iron chain on the ground in the east of the village, scratching his soul. Rumor has it that dark clouds are coming over the city. He grabbed a blue egg and crushed it and threw it in the air to test. Blue meteorite smoke started rising from the edge of the small garden, but it roared like a beast waking up, and will-o'-the-wisps pressed into the hut, and the crisis tightened like a net. Ye Chen held up a hoe and pushed a box, summoned a chicken army of 80 and buzzed in formation. The leader of the Golden Egg King's blue flames weakly pecked at the silk robe and tried on clothes. The flying chicken's rainbow feathers fluttered, its wings and claws tore the skirt, cream splashed, the perfume bottle shattered and jingled, and the crystal shoes rolled in the mud puddle. The villagers stared and rubbed their eyes and roared, the village god's chicken show. Extravagant and rotten clothes, the devil's roar is stupid. The strong man shrank in fear, the chicken pecks the city as a gift, the internal strife is in crisis, my sickle is shaking. The fat ant fanned the cream mist, her fat face trembled, it's ridiculous to hide the master. The fitting turns into a pecking battle, the demon laughs and destroys the village. The dog's sickle was raised high and roared close. Lao Wang climbed up on the box with a bald head and cried, God Yi, the alliance of the chicken army will save the dispute. Qin Feng hugged his belly and smoothed the butter, and slapped his legs dumbfounded, Old Yi, the contrast is overwhelming. The nickname of chicken-pecking luxurious farmer will stay forever. Li Xiuyu laughed sinisterly under the table, misunderstandings are misunderstood, and the list is hilarious. Ink gas rolled down the village road, and the green ball was knee-high, and the door of the hut was locked. The will-o'-the-wisp green eyes flashed across Fu's fat face. He screamed and threw the box, the evil green-skinned coalition. The information is true, the village is dead and the business is dead. Su Wan swung the butter on the broom and whipped it into the air. Her wet sleeves tore her skirt with a trembling smile. Husband, the housework and fitting are bad. The devil roars at home, and a tie becomes a big loss. King Qingqing egg rolled against his shoe, the girl with creamy cheeks pouted and cried, Dad, the chicken army pecked to pieces the new clothes, the demon king's remnants, the father is guarding the village. Ye Chen's robe was cracked, the golden light made a suppressed buzz, the blue egg was left pink, and the palms were hot. The bottom of the rural model is about to explode. Crisis is everywhere, black clouds are like a city collapsing, and inner despair is like shit soup, the dream of lying flat is broken, the four pressures of the demon neighbor are suppressed, and the courage of the brave man is broken and needs to be refined again. The east of the village roared and shook the ground, the iron chains scraped against the door and buzzed, ghost fire reflected the green and white faces of the people, it was as oppressive as the dead silence before the storm, and absurd laughter drowned out the tide of fear. The white light of the fish belly pierces the ink clouds in the sky, the creamy mud splashes in front of the hut, the rainbow feathers of the 80 magic flying chicken flutter like a frying pan of colorful mist, the silk skirt is pecked to pieces and the crystal shoes roll in the pit, the broken glass of the perfume bottle jingles into ghost music, and the sweetness of lavender mixes with the shitty fog and eggs into the brain-destroying poisonous gas. The iron chain scraped against the door and buzzed close to the ear like a sickle grinding against the bone. The green eyes of the ghost fire in the east of the village flickered, reflecting the green and white trembling faces of the people. The two strong men held their sickles high and roared into the garden. The bald old man knelt on the box and cried and howled with his nose drawn, Ye Chen, I feed the green balls with my secret recipe, and escape to lure the iron chain demon. Roar! 2 dogs are killing my family, and the demons are fighting among themselves and destroying the whole village. Zhang Fu's fat face was twisted and he screamed and tore the golden threads of the car curtain. He choked on the cream mist with his handkerchief and coughed up blood, the evil green-skinned coalition is real. The intelligence is irrefutable, Yi Yongzhe is a remnant farmer guarding the shit field, and the whole village is in ruins. Death. Qin Feng got up with a smooth beard, his wolf eyes flashed and he slapped his legs. His stubble was full of laughter and fear, Old Yi, the god's nickname has been upgraded. Chicken pecks the remnant farmer, the devil's nemesis becomes the green-skinned pet king. My buddy's information is accurate, the dream of selling the chicken army to the city is shattered. Xiao sneaked under the box and trembled with a sinister smile. The wet ink flew out of the pages of the book, climax of the devil's chapter, night whistle of the silk robe remnant. Qin Feng's buttocks were shot crookedly and the dart injury recurred. He screamed and rolled on his hips, Boss, the list will stay on the list forever. The Green King locks the door, and the farmers are fighting among pigs and dogs. Su Wan flicked the cream whip on the broom to make time, her wet sleeves tore off her skirt with spots on her hips and her livid face pushed Ye Chen's arms, which were cold and bone-chilling. Husband, housework and fitting clothes have turned into a battle between demons. The demons and monsters have joined forces, a tie between mother and daughter has turned into a loser, the green shell will punish you for patrolling the forest and chasing demons. Qingqing rides the golden egg king and crashes the shoes were covered with mud, and the girl with a creamy face pouted and cried while hugging eggshells and burning her legs, Dad, the chicken army pecked the cloak. The devil is the remnant. The uncle's green ball pet roared, Dad saved the pig with the shovel. The villager's strong man's bull's-eye exploded and the sickle fell into the mud, and the sweaty rice wine was filled with sour rot and rubbed his eyes. Roaring, the crisis of the village god is fourfold. The chicken pecks the city as a gift to the evil demon. I donated the chicken and cancelled the subscription and shook my hands. The fat ant smashed the green shell with her fan, her fat face turned pale and trembling lips fanned the cream wind, the hidden master is ridiculous. The extravagant and rotten war kills pigs and dogs, and the demon roars and the heart stops beating and the village is destroyed. Ye Chen see the robe is tight and tight, the chest muscles are bulging and the golden wires are buzzing, the palms of the blue egg powder are as hot as lava, and the heart is like shit soup and ink is filling the lungs, retired, lying flat and shattered into slag. The rumors of the devil's remnant bear the nickname of nuclear explosion arrow rain. The green-skinned king's iron chain locks the soul close at hand. The monsters in the neighborhood attack the brave man and turn him into a human shield. Rural model. The lead weight is sinking in the chest at the bottom of the valley. The devil-slaying king is holding a hoe in his hand and splashing black juice. He glances at Lao Wang's bald head and howls, and there is a flash of lightning in his mind, illusion of intelligence. The little green-skinned demon chirped harmlessly. The roar of the iron chain was absurd and unworthy of the devil. It must be Lao Wang's weird secret recipe, and the goblin escaped from the forest and the wild boar misunderstood it. On the edge of the abyss of despair, Ye Chen pinched the corners of his robe with his fist and tore the golden threads apart. The brave man's momentum was like a candle, the suppressed hum rising in the wind, and his ingenuity was like a blue crystal powder flashing. Don't bear it hard, break the fake game first. He grabbed Lao Wang's bald head by his collar, splashed mud and water on his nose, and yelled, "Weird village tyrant, where can the green ball with the secret recipe escape?" Lin Dong chases monsters in the pig pen, and the roar of the iron chain stops the internal strife. Lao Wang's eyes were as round as copper bells, his bald head was shiny, trembling, and his nose was flying, and he screamed and got up, hugged Ye Chen's legs and knocked on the mud. Ye Chen is aware of it. My goblin pet is chirping harmlessly, fattening the shell and fleeing to the east of the village to hit the chained wild boar king. The roar misunderstood the evil beast. Follow Lin and lead the way, and the pig pen will be resolved forever. When everyone heard this, the bull's eyes exploded, and the strong man's sickle became empty and frozen with sweat beads. Roar, fairy wild boar and fake demon. The village's sanity is broken, and I'm grinding pork. Fat and Pu Fan Xingfeng's fat face twitched, hidden master of magic. The strange old king's pet roars, extravagant and chaotic fights for nothing. Qin Feng Dahu Mafe slapped his legs and smiled dumbly. Old Yi, turned the remnant farmer into a pig pen warrior. The information was ruined, and my business was resurrected. Li Xiu laughed darkly and glanced at Lin Dongmuang. Boss, the list is turned into a comedy. The green pig has a misunderstanding, and the shoe hides the monster. Ye Chen is carrying a hoe to repair the mud stains on his robe, and the inner game is reappearing like a demon-slaying battlefield. The chicken army is forced to summon a chicken army, and the egg rain turns back and the feces explodes, and the blue powder is left standing at a loss. The neighbors are fighting, 2 dogs are roaring, the demon roar is false, and the whole village is in panic. He roared and summoned the Golden Egg King to lead the 80 flying chicken to shrink into a circle and guard the hut. The blue flame weakly pecked at the corner of the robe for the residual heat from the fitting. He turned around and pulled the old king's mud feet. The rainbow underpants flag on the village road was windless and ghosts were swinging. The iron chain was blown away and he roared like a pig to mislead. Su Wan's shoulder was poked with a broom, her sleeves were wet and creamy. Husband, increase the household chores for chasing monsters. Mother and daughter chase after each other, and sweep the loser's pig pen. The Egg King buzzed and followed the girl, pouting excitedly. Dad, let's shovel the pig and slay the demon show. Mom, catch the green ball pet and bring back the porridge crisp. Qin Feng Li Xiu followed and slapped his leg with a sinister smile. Old Yi, Lin Chai is a pig-roaring remnant. Dude, the intelligence has been upgraded, and the magic chicken is selling pork. Zhang Fu's fat face smiled and fanned his handkerchief to ward off the smell. Master Yi, be smart. The pig pen business is open, and luxury is exchanged for pig legs. In the east of the forest, the air is thin and the shadows of the trees shake with black juice dripping from the leaves. The iron chains of the wild boar pen jingle and the real culprit emerges. 5 giant black-haired pigs dig into the mud and roar to shake the ground. Green-skinned crispy green balls with knee-height chirp and run away against the fence. Harmless fat pigs bump into the nose and spray mud mist, creating a smelly smell. Lao Wang's bald head screamed and trembled with his finger ring. Ye Chen, I have 3 goblins. The secret recipe is fat and fragile, and the Pig King's iron chain is locked and roaring, and the demon is dead. Ye Chen repaired the hoe and pestle, and the mud splashed on the ground. The pig's eyes were red, and his inner depression turned into murderous intent. The sword energy of the brave man turned into a shovel blade, and the pig demon chain broke. He roared in a circle, the blade of the shovel buzzed, and the pig hair flew into the air. The giant pig roared and splashed mud on his face, and the smell filled his nose. The green ball goblin chirped and ran through the tree, bumping into Ye Chen's robe and cracking with golden light. The Pig King arched his legs, bound his feet with iron chains and dragged him down the mud puddle, and his feces-spotted silk robe was covered with pig hair. It was so tight that his flesh was stretched and bruised with veins. Lao Wang screamed and hugged the tree with his bald head and banged against the branches, the power of Ye Chen shoveling pigs. I caught the goblin and resolved the internal strife in the pig pen. The pigs roared and buzzed around the shovel, and the mud sprayed on his face and his cheeks were fishy and hot. Ye Chen's inner lightning game: if he did not kill the whole circle, the misunderstanding would aggravate and the two dogs chased him. He sacrificed his robe and used the pig pen to shut down the goblin and reverse the source of the false demon. The Pig King's robe tore off the golden thread. Ye Chen rolled over in the mud pit to grab the green ball and scratched his face with a harmless fat paw. The pig's nose was hit with the shovel handle and it retreated with a grunt. He sneered in his heart, the rural model has been upgraded, shoveling pigs instead of slaughtering them with swords. Just as he was about to close the circle, the village road was rumbling with mud. Su Wan came after the broomstick and the Egg King was buzzing. The mother and daughter put cream spots on their hips and yelled, "Husband/dad, let's chase monsters around the house. The green ball mother will win and fly on the broomstick." The pigs smelled the women's scent and roared, jumping out of the iron chain to drag the mud. Splashing the sky, it turned into a battle royale comedy. Su Wan whipped the pig's fart with a broom and made bloodshot hairs. Her sleeves were wet and her face was covered in mud. She choked and coughed. "Hubby, the pig-roaring demon is on vacation. Do the housework with pig sweeping, and the loser cooks pig soup." The clear Egg King sprayed blue flames to scald the pig's nose to retreat. The girl pouted and hit the green ball while riding her balls and hugged her arms. "Mom, Dad is so handsome shoveling pigs. I love you fairies, the porridge is 3 times crispier." Feng, Li Xiu and Lin slapped their legs and followed with a sinister smile. "Old Yi, escape from the remnants of the pig pen farmer. The list of pigs begins, Shu's shooting pigs in the eyes. The giant pigs are overturning the trees, and the green ball goblins are crawling around their ankles. Ye Chen is shoveling and dancing in the mud, and the smell of rain is filling the air. The muscles in his robes are cracked and the golden light is humming. The inner wisdom is flashing, the whole circle is pushing the pig pen, and the misunderstanding in the goblins has stopped." The Pig King grunted and wrapped his iron chain around the Egg King and rolled into the pit. The girl screamed and the cream-faced pig snorted hotly, "Dad, save! Egg King Pig Knight!" Ye Chen roared and jumped into the pit. The phantom of the shovel blade slashed the pig's legs and retreated with a grunt. He grabbed Lao Wang and pushed the pen door open with a rusty creak. Pushing back, the pigs all entered the pen. Lao Wang's eyes widened, his bald head knocked on the mud, and his nose trembled wildly. Ye Chen God's cloth in the pig pen. The goblin shuts down the pigs to stop roaring, and the 2 dogs in the internal strife thank me for the secret recipe. Su Wan poked the pen with a broom and slapped her, wet sleeves with pig mud on her hips and trembled with laughter. "Husband, you win after chasing the demon in housework. Sweep the pig pen, and mommy turns you into a loser to make soup." Qingqing hugged 3 green balls and pouted excitedly, "Dad, win the pig shovel escape." The goblin pet returns to the team, the father-in-law, the pig slaughter king of the countryside. Feng, who Mafe, rolled on the ground with his belly in his arms and yelled dumbfounded, "Old Yi, the contrast is a nuclear bomb." The brave sword turned into a shovel and chopped down the pigs. The nickname of Pig Roaring Remnant was broken, and my business chicken and pig joints were sold out. Li Xiugue rubbed his eyes and wrote a book full of ink. Boss, the comedy list is exploded. The misunderstanding of the pig pen is resolved, the magic roar is fake. The villagers heard the roar and came after them. The strong man smashed his scythe with his eyes and dropped it to the ground. He shouted, "The village gods are fighting in the forest. The pigs are shoveled into the pen and the fairies are captured. The demons are in trouble and the internal strife is stopped. I donate chickens and pig legs." The fat ant slapped the pig with a fan and the smelly mist twitched, the hidden master's ingenuity explodes. Escape and chaos in the pig pen will win, and the extravagant and chaotic fight will be blind. Leading the strong man to force the forest edge to buzz and freeze, the cow's eyes turned white with fear and turned stupid, old Wang's green ball pig roared misunderstood. The garden destroyed the cowshed and thanked Ye Chen, the civil war ended. The roar of the iron chain stopped Lin Jing's ink breath dispersed and the scent of tree sap filled his nostrils. The phantom of the green eyes of the will-o'-the-wisp was shattered. The crisis was reversed, the source of the fake devil was broken, and the village alliance solidified its nickname and won the victory. Ye Chen gasps for breath, the mud drips from his robe, and his robe cracks. The golden light flashes, and the inner pressure is released. The brave man's momentum rises like a blue flame, lying down and rekindling. Jibu Pigpen sacrifices his robe and face for a complete victory, but he loses money chasing monsters in housework. Is there a new plot to be revealed? Su Wan flicked the pig hair with her broom, pushed Ye Chen's arms with her wet sleeves and pushed the buttered pig mud with a smile. "Hubby, the pig pen housework is a big win. The village cleaning competition is about to start. Mom and daughter team up to challenge each other. The loser will go shopping in green shell pig skin plus cook the whole soup." Qingqing green ball the egg king buzzed with tweets, and the girl's eyes brightened and she pouted, "Dad, clean up the chicken army and join the war." Uncle Qin and Li Xiuqing team, luxury sweeper and pig league, who will win the nickname king? Qin Feng clapped his legs and stood up, Hu Fei said excitedly, "Old Yi, clean up, pig farmer brave. My buddy's carriage broom is online, and the magic chicken sells cleaning kits." Li Xiuyin smiled and his shoes fell into the mud and ran away. The list cleaning chapter, the mud pig remnant party, warms up, and the whole village's escape continues. Lao Wang hugs the pig pen and the fence is bald. He bowed his head and thanked, "Ye Chen, the goblin belongs to me and the secret recipe is upgraded. Clean up the alliance forever, and the pig roaring banquet begins." Ye Chen's inner smile game continues, the housework competition is ridiculous, teammates participate in the battle and fall flat with laughter, reverse the low light and wait for the big explosion. The forest wind crackles the coolness of the robe, the pigs hum and chirp, the rainbow flags dance on the village roads, the crisis is loosened and new battles begin. The mud on the village road splashes and rumbles, rainbow underwear flags, windless ghosts sway like drunkards waving their sleeves, pigs hum and green chirp, the fish belly is white and dazzling at dawn, the 80 magic flying chicken shrinks in a circle of thatched hut, the blue flames faintly peck at the robe, the residual heat buzzes in warning, the eggshell pit, the crystal shoe crumbs jingle and roll, the creamy shit mist smells sour and rotten. Su Wan flicked the pig's hair on the broom and made a crackling sound. The wet sleeves were filled with pig butter spots. Ye Chen's arms were smooth and trembling with a smile, and his livid face turned red. "Honey, the cleaning competition is about to begin. Mom and daughter team up to clean the pig pens in the thatched house. You challenge the whole village. The loser will go shopping with green shell pig skins plus make pig soup for the whole family. Chasing monsters at home is a great victory, you lose money in the pig mud robe." Qingqing hugged 3 green balls and chirped, crawled on her shoulders and tickled her fat paws, and the girl's creamy pig's clay face pouted and her eyes lit up excitedly while riding the golden egg king, buzzing and spraying blue flames. "Dad, wipe out the chicken army and join the war." Mom and daughter join forces with the broom and egg king, and Dad shovels the pig to lose. Domestic pig night, let me eat the crispy goblin porridge first. Qin Feng, Hu Mafei, rolled on the ground with his belly in his arms, stood up and slapped his legs. Hu Zhaxiang roared, "Old Yi, the nickname of pigsty sweeping hero, is locked. The carriage broom of our city team is online, the magic chicken sells cleaning kits, and the pig roars to the remnants." Transformed into a farmer with a shovel, his business has turned upside down and he has ridiculed the village. Li Xiu ghostly rubbed his eyes and closed his book with Mo Fei. His sleeves were muddy and his shoes were shaking, and he smiled sinisterly and swayed through the tree shadow. "Boss, the list is cleared. The mud pig remnant farmer is warming up, the story of shooting shoes into the manure pit is continued, and the whole village is united in the housework escape." Lao Wang, his bald head, knocked on the mud and his nose was snotty, and he hugged the rusty pig pen and trembled and screamed, "Ye Chen, the pig roaring banquet is about to start. My goblin secret recipe is upgraded, the 3 green balls are chirping and the pig hair is crispy, and the 2 dogs in the internal strife are harvesting and forever thanking the alliance for donating the pig legs." The 2 dogs, the bull-eyed stupid white scythes, snapped out the stiff mud, the smelly rice wine filled with sweat and sour rot, rubbed their eyes and roared, then laughed, "Ye Chen wins the pig pen, thank you for destroying the cowshed. Clean the sickle and grind the pig pen, I will carry the green shell goblin." The fat ant slaps the pig with a fan and the smelly fog is fat. His face twitched and he smiled, the king of hidden expert sweepers. The extravagant fight was in vain and the mother-daughter team won me the fan. Zhang Fu, with a fat face and a gold smile, slapped his handkerchief on the smelly pig mud and coughed, "Master Yi, the same pigsty. The carriage silk skirt is broken and changed into a sweeper broomsticks, the pig leg business is open for the whole village to buy." The whole village's strong men and fat ants roared on the road, the sickles, brooms and cattail fans were buzzing in the air, and the sky was filled with cheers. The rainbow flags popped and the colorful mist filled the air with the smell of cream and shit. The crisis was loosened and the joke turned to the absurd linkage of the general cleaning. The mud in the egg pit in front of the hut is bubbling, the black juice is clear and the cucumber stumps are rustling, the 10-acre magic field of rice is patrolling with black shadows on the border, Ye Chen is repairing the mud with a hoe and pestle, the pig's spotted robe is cracked, the golden wire is cut and tightened, the chest muscles are bulging, green veins are buzzing, blue and pink the lava in the palm of the hand is still aching, and the inner game is like the heavy pressure of a demon-slaying battlefield. Housework challenges the whole village, the mother brooms the egg king, the goblin pig roars, the chicken army summons the backlash and the shit waterfall is hidden, and the hidden worries are at the bottom, and the flames are resurrected and the glimmer of light is waiting to explode. The crowd mocked him with his nickname, Jian Yu Hong, and the remaining pig farmer warriors with the mud shovel burst into laughter. He pinched the corner of his robe with his fists, tore off the pig's hair, and roared, suppressing his courage. The competition is on. I challenge the housework army alone, the magic chicken army sweeps away the whole village, and the pig pens, huts and egg pits are wiped out. Su Wan put her broomstick on her hips and whipped her wet sleeves with pig mud and flicked her nose, "Husband, let's beat the soup. Mommy will sweep the hut first, and I, the green-shelled goblin, will whip the broom." The clear green ball chirped and gnawed at the corners of her robe. The egg king buzzed and led the 80 flying chicken circle with rainbow feathers fluttering and trying to peck. Qin Feng slapped his legs and tore off the golden wire of the carriage curtain. The broom team rumbled, "Old Yi, the city team is laughing at sweeping. The shit-robed pig farmers are shoveling the huts, and I am the magic broom soldier with a beard." Li Xiu sneaked around and shot the broom from his sleeves, crookedly hitting the fat ant's cattail fan and popping feathers. The pigs with splashing butter stunk their noses, the green ball goblin chirped and bumped into the broom, gnawing the crispy shell. The bald old man hugged the goblin and screamed and trembled, secret recipe to sweep away the crispy. The pig roars on the broom version. The brooms of the Qinli city team's carriage buzzed and scraped the thatched roof tiles, jingling rain fell, and the scum and ink flew into the mud puddles. The cleanup started smoothly and ridiculed wildly. Su Wan used the broom to sweep the wood chips from the beams of the thatched hut and flew, wet her sleeves and put pig mud on her hips. She put her face on her hips and yelled, "Honey, let's see mom and daughter win together. Sweep away all the pig mud in the thatched house, go shopping with green shells." The king of white eggs sprayed blue flames to burn the mud to make it moist. White smoke was rising, and the girl pouted, hugged the green ball, hit the pit, and broke the eggshell into pieces. "Dad, mom wins the pig soup." The fairy chirped and chewed the broom 3 times. Qingqing's broom scraped the ashes of the tiles, the avalanche and the foam flew and slapped his legs. "Old Ye, the remnants of mud pigs in thatched huts. City team tile sweeps." "God, how can the chicken army be lying on the ground?" Li Xiu laughed sinisterly in the book, cleaning up the peasant pit in shit robes, sneaking around the thatched roof, shooting mud balls with his sleeves and shoes, pricking Qingqing's beard, holding his head and screaming, "Boss, we will keep each other's trap clean forever." Lao Wang's demon chirped and hit the sickle. When the fat guy was harmlessly digging into the mud pit, the bald man's nose was trembling wildly. Ye Chen challenged the loser. "I have a secret recipe to sweep the pig pen and start a banquet." The villager's strong man grinded the egg pit with his bullseyes protruding and laughed. "The village god's housework is at the bottom. Mom, girl, city team win together, the pig leg is donated to shovel the loser." Ye Chen shoveled a hoe and shoveled the mud wall of the thatched hut before it collapsed. The smell of black juice was hot and hot. His robe was torn and the pig hair was tightened tightly and his flesh was bursting. The veins were bursting with golden light and the buzz was suppressed. The nicknames from the public were like a rain of arrows and the nuclear explosion was heavy in his heart. He retired and lay down to the ground. He was singled out for housework and ridiculed. The chicken army was summoned to bite back and explode. On the edge of the abyss of despair, he punched the robe-horned pigs and roared to summon the chicken army. 80 flying chickens, the household magic army attacks. The golden egg king flies into the sky with a broom, and the pig pens in the hut are completely clean. Lava flashed in the palm of the blue and pink hand, the golden egg king buzzed with 80 rainbow feathers fluttering like a colorful mist frying pan. The magic flying chicken pecked at the broom, buzzed and grabbed the wooden handle and flew into the sky. The egg rain preheated blue flames and burned in the air, and the poisonous cream shit mist reappeared. Everyone's eyes widened like copper bells. Su Wan's broomstick was pecked by chickens and flew into the sky. She lost control and whipped Qingqing's carriage curtain, tearing away the golden avalanche. "Husband, the chicken army is making a mess in the house. Flying on the broom and the girl loses. The green ball goblin saves the broom." The white egg king was hit by the chickens and rolled over. The girl screamed, "Butter pig clay face and pig nose, hot spray." "Dad, the chicken army rebelled. The golden egg prince and egg knight flew into the sky and pitted me." The goblin chirped to support my mother. Qingfeng's face was slapped with a broom and his face was red and swollen. He held his head and rolled over in the mud pit. The wolf's eyes turned white with fear and he yelled stupidly, "Old Ye, the god's nickname is Collapse. Flying shit chicken sweeps away the devil. I have a carriage with tiles and a gray chicken pecks at the avalanche, and the business chicken army suit is yellow." Li Xiu scurried around. Pharaoh's bald head was pricked crookedly by chickens fluttering his sleeves and shoes, and his bald hair flew away. He screamed and hugged the goblin, trembling and snot. The list collapsed. Chickens flying on brooms are comedy nuclear bombs, and pig farmers summon shit waterfalls. Pharaoh's green ball goblin chirped and was pecked by chickens and his shell was broken. The bald man gnawed on the beams of the thatched hut and rained wood chips, and the bald head banged against the pillars and roared, "Ye Chen, chicken army god. The secret recipe is pecked and the porridge flies away, and the pig roars and the banquet is chaotic." The villagers' sickles were used by flying brooms to knock off the mud. The cow's eyes were bulging and the smell of sweat filled the air. The village god chicken is in chaos at the bottom of the valley. The hut is flying in the sky, and the fog and eggs are raining down, and the sweep has turned into an escape attempt. The fat Ant Poo fan was caught by the chicken claws, and the pig's smelly fog turned pale and twitched. The hidden master's housework exploded. The logic of the flying chicken broom is broken, and the luxurious tiles are covered in gray shit. The scene is grand and extremely chaotic. The 80 flying chicken with rainbow feathers flutters, grabs the broom, buzzes and flies into the sky like a colorful mist and tornado. The mud and egg pit gushes and bubbles, black juice sprays into the sky, the stinking heat wave burns the face, the tiles on the thatched roof jingle and rain hits the pit, the pigpen iron chain jingles and the giant pig roars and arches to contribute to the chaos. The green ball goblin chirps and scratches the empty crispy shell with its fat claws, gnaws the mixed feces mist, and chokes with poisonous gas and coughs blood. Su Wan wet her sleeves and swung her broom out of control, making rustling tree branches and leaves flying. Qingqing Egg King rolled in the pit and the golden egg jingled and hit the green ball harmlessly. Qin Feng's carriage curtain was shattered and his broom avalanched and his beard was muddy. Li Xiu's shoes flew and hit the pages of his book and ink splattered. Lao Wang's bald goblins collapsed their arches and beams. The whole village rumbled and fled, their sickles and cattail leaf fans dropped to the ground, laughing and shouting. The chicken army's housework is in chaos. The broomstick shit waterfall is coming, the village is wiped out and destroyed. Ye Chen repaired the hoe and pestle pit, and the mud pig robe was tightly tightened. The golden light buzzed and suppressed the bottom, and his heart was like shit soup and ink filled his lungs. There was a sinking feeling in despair. The chicken army backfired with the shit waterfall, the housework competition collapsed and the whole village was in crisis, and the retired brave man's human shield reappeared. Suddenly the earth cracked and rumbled, the manure pit in the village made a loud noise and bubbled black bubbles, the magic feed blue crystal powder came back to bite the shit waterfall and a nuclear explosion occurred, the egg pit in the thatched house exploded in succession, a volcano of feces and mud spewed into the sky, the smelly wave was hot and hot, 80 flying eggs rained out of control, blue flames burned the grass beside the pit, and the grass beside the pit burned and sizzled with black smoke. Everyone's faces turned green and white, their eyes trembled, and they screamed and fled. The crisis in the village cesspit. The devil of the chicken shit waterfall is resurrected, wipe out all escapes. Su Wan's broom handle broke off, her sleeves were wet with shit, and she pushed Ye Chen's arm with bone-piercing tears. Husband, the housework shit pit exploded. The mother-daughter team lost, saving the village and making soup is exempted. The girl hugging the egg king beside the clearing pit pouted and cried, Dad, eggs king shit night. The goblin chirped, the porridge was drowned, and the father turned around. Qin Feng hugged his buttocks and the carriage was stuck in the mud, his eyes were wide and his eyes were wide, and he yelled stupidly, Old Yi, the reverse nuclear bomb collapsed. The nickname of, the demon king of shit waterfall pig farmers, is broken, and I am a business shit suit. Li Xiu sneaked into the pit with wet shit and a sinister smile, and turned to fear, the climax of the list. The flying chicken explodes in the shit pit, and all logic breaks down. At the peak of despair, the shit wave rushed up to the waist, the stench choked the lungs, Ye Chen's robe was torn, golden light flashed, the brave man's momentum rose like a blue flame nuclear explosion, and the inner resourcefulness reappeared. The trump card was shocking. Instead of forcefully summoning sword energy, the rural model is completely reversed, all members work together to join forces with chickens, pigs and demons. He jumped over the pit to repair with a hoe. The phantom blade buzzed and chopped at the mud wall beside the waterfall. The black juice stopped. He grabbed Su Wan's wet sleeve and threw it in the air. He yelled, Honey, the broken handle of the broom is connected to my mother. The golden flame of the egg king seals the entrance of the pit, and the green ball goblin blocks the mud. The buzzing spray of blue flames left the burnt shit to soak up the fragrance. The girl's eyes lit up and she screamed in admiration, Daddy's trump card in housework. Mommy wins. Qin Feng clapped his legs and got up, shit flying on the carriage and the plank pushed the pit with a rumble, Old Yi, you are wise. The city team's tiles are covered with shit, and the chickens are selling shit. Li Xiu shot a ball of shit to plug the cracks and laughed ghostly, the list is reversed. The comedy king of the shit hole. Lao Wang, a bald man, hugged 3 green balls and chirped into the fat pit, chewed the mud, and cracked his nose. Tai Fei trembled wildly. Ye Chen joins forces with the god. The secret recipe of the goblin is blocking the shit and roaring for an eternity. The villager's strong man grinds the sickle on the wall of the pit, and the bull's eye breaks out in sweat. Then he laughs and roars, the village god's trump card is blowing. The whole village joins forces to seal the shit pit, and the pig legs are donated to the chicken army for purification. The excrement waterfall gradually stopped. The gurgling weak black sap dispersed and the fragrance of the tree sap mixed with the pig's green chirping laughter. Flying chickens with rainbow feathers descended from the thatched hut and pecked at the dung mud to purify the mud with a faint buzzing sound. The broken handle of the broom was sealed with sawdust and the pit was sealed. The golden flame of the egg king burned the grass and flew away. The whole village's eyes widened and they trembled in ecstasy. Su Wan's wet sleeves were filled with mud and she put her hands on Ye Chen's arms. She was blushing and laughing, pushing up her chest muscles. Husband, the shithole housework is a big win. The mother-daughter team is tied and the whole family is harmonious. The pig soup is exempted and the friendship is warmed. The clear green ball chirped and crawled onto her father's shoulder. The humming girl pouted and her eyes wet, she hugged her legs excitedly. Dad, let's work together, the shit night god. The whole family will eat the goblin porridge, and the parents who are the clear winners will win. Feng slapped his legs on the ground with a big shit. Rolling around dumbfounded, Xiao Mafei yelled, Old Yi, the double explosion of contrasting nuclear bombs. The brave man became a god in the shit pit, fell in love with the nickname, Pig Farmer, and sold chicken and pig shit condoms like crazy. Li Xiu ghostly rubbed his eyes and Mo Fei said in the new page of the book, Boss, the climax of the list is to become a god. The flying chickens work together, and the laughter will last forever. Lao Wang, the bald man, knocked his nose and hugged the goblin, trembling and thanking him. Ye Chen is the god of the whole village. The pig's roar feast is clean, and the alliance's pig legs will last forever. The cesspit in front of the hut was sealed, the cracked mud was fragrant, the whole village rumbled with joyful rainbow flags, and the whole village rumbled around Ye Chen's torn robe with golden light flashing with blue flames. The strong man, the fat ant, raised her cattail fan in the air and worshipped the bull's eye and shouted, Climax of the village god's housework. The chicken cesspit is reversed, donate chickens and pig legs to sweep away forever. The fat ant fanned the breeze with her fat face laughing and twitching, hidden master's friendship explodes. Logic collapse, work together to win, luxury shit battle white. The two dogs turned around and said, Ye Chen's internal strife has stopped, and the pigs and the cowshed are having a feast. Zhang Fu slapped his handkerchief, coughed and laughed, Master Yi, the shit business is open. Buy all the pig legs in silk skirts. Ye Chen gasped for breath, relaxed in his muddy robe, and smiled at the game. Retirement and lying down climaxed, the crisis of housework turned into a friendship, the brave rural model exploded, and the nickname became a warm one. Su Wan Qingqing's arms were wrapped around her waist, her sleeves were wet and the creamy shit was warm. Her mother and daughter's eyes were moist and they were smiling and pushing their chests, husband/dad, win the sweep. Let's celebrate the whole family with pig soup and fairy porridge, let's lie down and love each other. Qin Li followed Hu Fei and patted his legs and laughed sinisterly, Old Yi, the village warmer is climaxing. The penis is about to explode, chicken and army shit net joint sale. Lin Feng blew cool robes, pigs hummed green and chirped in joy, the village road was filled with rainbow flags, the dawn was golden, and the crisis was released. The mud on the village road is dry and cracked, the mud residue is clinking and rolling around the pit, the rainbow flag is flying in the sky, the golden light is dazzling, the pigs are humming green, laughing and buzzing with laughter, the egg pit in front of the hut is sealed flat, the fragrant sap cream turns sweet, the pig smell is faint, the 80 flying chickens with rainbow feathers drop from the top and peck at the shit, the blue flame is weak and buzzing, the golden egg king is buzzing, the green ball is chirping, and the fat mound is gnawing harmlessly on the mud. The strong men in the village, the fat ant, held up her cattail fan in the air and worshipped her with low roars and roared around Ye Chen's torn robe, the golden light shimmering with lingering warmth and bulging veins. Su Wan's wet sleeves were wrapped around her waist with feces and mud, and her chest muscles were flushed and trembling with laughter. Feng slaps his legs and rolls around with dumbfounded roars, Li Xiu rubs his book with his ghost eyes and shakes his sieve with a sinister smile, Lao Wang's bald head knocks his nose and hugs the goblin and thanks him wildly, the two bulls turn their eyes stupidly and bow to their sickles, the fat ant slaps the breeze and laughs and twitches, Zhang Fu slaps his handkerchief and coughs and laughs goldenly. The white fish belly in the sky turns to the scorching sun, the earth is cracked, the steaming shit is fragrant and the heat wave hits his face, Ye Chen gasps for breath, the shit is dripping in his robe, the flesh is slippery, the veins are buzzing, the muscles are loose, and the inner game stops, housework climax warms the release, retirement lies flat and the new flat is opened, the nickname is turned into eternal friendship. Su Wan pushed up her arms, wet her sleeves, swung feces and mud, splashed her nose with sour rot, put her hands on her hips, and turned green and red, husband, the whole family is fried with feces, mud, and pigs. The mother and daughter jointly win the pig soup exemption, and a war breaks out in the bathhouse for well water. You, the green-shelled pig knight, will be punished by boiling the soup. Qingqing the creamy shit-faced pig-nosed hot-squirting egg king rolled his legs, pouted, eyes bright, and cried excitedly, Dad, the champion of the shithole takes a bath. Mom and daughter first grab the well water and goblin porridge to wash, and Daddy, the muddy brave, after shoveling the shit, tweets the green ball and humps the bathtub. Feng stood up and hummed. Shit flew to the ground and the mud rumbled. Hu Moxiang roared and trembled, Old Yi, the new nickname is, Mud Warrior. The shit pit is transformed into a mud pig farmer, the city team's carriage bath is online, the magic chicken sells shit cleansing bath sets, and the business is booming. It's a mockery of the house. Li Xiu sneaked around the tree, dropped the book, and Mo Fei smiled gloomily, Boss, warm up for the bath chapter of the list. The Mud Shit Robed Warrior is released, the story of flying chicken's shit waterfall continues, and the housework bath escape series. The whole family is dirty and full of sequelae. The sleeves of the robe are wet and dirty. The thick layer of creamy feces and mud is hot and smelly. The lungs are filled with sour rot. Su Wan puts her hands on her hips and throws the broken handle of the broom in the air. She pushes her wet sleeves against Ye Chen's smooth chest with a trembling smile, Hubby, the well water is magically summoned. Mother and daughter wash the smelly pigs first. The muddy warriors shovel the bathtub to make soup. Qingqing hugged 3 green balls and chirped with her fat paws to scratch the itchiness of the feces and mud. The egg king crawling on the shoulders buzzes with blue flames, the corners of the burnt robe are sizzling with white smoke, the girl pouts, and the creamy pig face is hot, Dad, take a bath to compete with the mother and the girl. The goblin green ball arches the well water and gnaws it, and the mud dad comes back to the pig knight. Ye Chen repaired with a hoe and pestle, and the mud pig robe was tightly tightened. Everyone mocked Niba, nicknamed Jian Yu Hong. He fisted his robe and the mud was flying and roared, suppressing his courage. Lan Yanqing said, the bathhouse is open. I summon the well water magic army, wash away the smelly pig feces and mud. All the bulls' eyes widened and trembled in anticipation. Qin Feng's bearded scum laughed, the mud warrior fights in the well. The chicken army flies in the bathtub. The cracks in the stone bricks on the well platform behind the hut are bubbling and the blue light of the spring is flashing. Ye Chen's robe is cracked and the golden thread is broken. He is jumping to the edge of the well to repair the hoe and pestle. The stone is buzzing and the blue powder of the phantom blade is broken. The lava is exploding in the palm of his hand. The water summoning curse is whispering, the well water is like a tidal wave. Unexpectedly, the blue light backfired and distorted the space. The space cracked and buzzed. A group of knee-high green-skinned goblins chirped and spewed green mist from the well mouth like a frying pan. Their fat claws scratched the empty crispy shell and gnawed on the arched bathtub, transforming into a wooden barrel. The start of the goblin bathing party, the green ball chubby Su Wan wet-sleeved and humped the creamy feces, the mud was slippery and hot, the girl screamed with arms akimbo and the broken handle of the broom took the time to snap out of control. Husband, the goblin bath is messy. The green ball chubby fucked my mother, mud. The brave man calls for a bath and the smell of the pig is doubled. The clear egg king is hugged by the goblins and rolls on the well platform. The golden egg jingles against the rocks. The girl's creamy pig face and pig nose are hot and squirting. She laughs and cries excitedly, Dad, the goblin bath army. The green ball is chirping and the egg king is cheating me, Mommy's bathtub is flying with shit. Feng and Hu Mafei rolled on the edge of the well, their wolf eyes turned white with fear, and they roared and trembled. Old Ye, God summons collapsed. Fairy bathtub mud demon king. I have an avalanche of green mist in the carriage bathtub, and chickens are sold to monsters for bathing. Li Shilgue rubbed his eyes and opened Mo Fei's sleeve to shoot the shit ball, which was crooked and gnawed on the fat monster's shell. He screamed and shook the tree, nuclear explosion in the bath chapter of the list. The mud brave man invites the green ball to lie down, and the shit pig farmer's logic is broken. After hearing the news, the weird old Wang, who was bald and knocked on the well, had a snotty nose and flew to the party with his own 3 green balls shaking wildly. He joined the complaining party. Ye Chen takes a bath to party with God. My secret recipe is the fairy chewing the well water porridge, the pig's roaring banquet bath version is started, and the 3 green ball alliance forces the mother to win. The goblins chirped and the whole family squatted in the bathtub. The mud squeaked and the scent of cream filled their noses with the heat. Su Wan's wet sleeves were thrust into the well platform with arms akimbo and she cried and pushed Ye Chen's arms, which were bone-chilling and cold. Husband, the goblins win in the bathing competition. Mom's green ball is rotten, mud. Ba Yongzi cooks pig soup and adds goblin porridge. Qingqing holds the egg king and rolls the green ball with his fat claws. The girl pouts and her eyes are wet and squirts. Dad, the knight is flying in the bath. The goblin fucks Mom, and Dad reverses the bathing championship. The scene is extremely absurd, while the plump green mist flutters and chirps with crisp sounds mixed with blue flames. The egg king sprays hot wooden barrels to sizzle with fragrance. The pigs hum in support and the iron chains jingle. The giant pig arches the fence and roars. The 80 flying chicken with rainbow feathers descends into the well and pecks the goblin's crisp shell. It flies into the sky and dances. The poisonous smell of creamy shit mist reappears. The whole family's eyes widened and they trembled, laughing and shouting in fear. The monsters are making a mess in the bath. The green ball in the well smells like shit and pigs, and the bath turns into a run-in, and everything is dirty. The bath party was ridiculed by the wind and hit the bottom of the valley. Feng's beard was slapped on the legs by the goblin who pushed the mud into the valley floor. Old Ye, the mud brave man bathed in the valley bottom. The city team's green mist chicken pecked the bathtub, and the business goblin set mocked him. The bald man with flying nose sprayed with snot. The mutual trap will stay on the bath list forever. Su Wanqing's mother's girl group bathtub was thrown into the sky, and the trees and branches and leaves were flying. Ye Chen's robe was torn in pig shit and mud, and his flesh was bursting with golden light. The crowd was laughing at the rain of arrows and the nuclear explosion was sinking in his heart, fighting for the chicken feathers in the bath. The goblin backfired, retired and lay flat to pieces, reversed the trump card to be exploded. In the abyss of despair, he punched the corner of his robe and screamed, "Bear with it." The village road was rumbling and the sequelae of the transfer bath were not resolved, and land boundary disputes broke out. 2 dogs, bull eyes, stupid white scythes, grinding mud, growling, fat ant fanning pigs, smelly mist, fat face twitching, angry. Ye Chen garden was destroyed, internal strife stopped, and the boundary markers of my cow sheet and pig pen were crooked. The 10-acre magic field was expanded by half an acre. The fat ant took the time to snap her fan and her fat meat trembled, shouting, "The 2 dogs are blind. The vegetable stems in my garden are ruined by the black juice." I moved the boundary marker by half an acre. Ye Chen donated the chicken legs and the pig roared to change the boundary. Lao Wang, a bald man with a snotty nose, hugged the goblin and trembled and added, "Secret recipe: the boundary monument is crispy. The green ball arches the boundary and the pig roars for a long time. I will mediate the internal strife and donate the 3 greens." The villager's fat ant burst into tears and the mud soaked in black juice left a smell. The brave warrior of the gods mediates the bottom of the valley. Qin Feng slapped his legs and Hu Fei roared, "Old Yi, the boundary monument mud battle." The new nickname of Land Shit Pig Farmer, the city team's carriage measurement business is booming. Li Xiu ghostly laughed at Mo Fei, preliminary chapter of the list, the fairy bath continues the shit pit. The dispute escalated and the villains were defeated. Preliminary: 2 dogs, a strong man with bull's eyes, red and swollen, and a sickle split the boundary monument. Stone chips flew and screamed at the fat ant, the garden was destroyed and the cowshed was harvested. The half-acre pig pen was expanded and the boundary monument was moved. The fat ant slapped the 2 dogs with a fan and slapped the 2 dogs' arms, which made the red and swollen fat meat shake. She angrily slapped the pigs to smell the fog choked his nose, a blind cow's eye. "My garden fan is ruined by black juice, my cattail fan is covering half an acre of boundary monuments, I will win by donating pig legs." Lao Wang Greenball chirped and arched the boundary monument, Fatty Dun harmlessly chewed the cracked stone, tinkled his nose and roared with snot flying, "Secret recipe: crispy porridge." Infighting pig roars banquet, tune, "I will donate my life forever." The fissures in the boundary monument gushed out, and the hot wave of black juice and feces filled their waists and choked their lungs. The villagers roared around, their eyes widened, and they trembled and shouted. Internal strife broke out. 2 fat ants slapped each other with sickles, and the boundary monument's feces waterfall was revived and the village was destroyed. Su Wan with wet waist and sleeves, the mud pushed Ye Chen, "Husband, the fight over housework is spreading. Mom and daughter mediate with the mud after bathing, and the pig soup is boiled." Qingqing pouted and hugged the Egg King and buzzed, "Dad, the night of the egg on the boundary monument. The goblin fucks the fat ant with 2 dogs, and the mud daddy is at the bottom of the valley." Ye Chen repaired the boundary monument with a hoe and pestle, tightened the mud pig robe, and the golden light hummed to suppress the peak of despair at the bottom of the valley. He lay down in the mud bath and fought for chicken feathers. The boundary monument was filled with worries about the excrement waterfall, and the crowd laughed at the muddy farmers. Arrows rained down on their lungs like shit soup. The 2 fat ants slapped each other with sickle fans, and the bloodthirsty Lao Wang demon fucked the bull's eyes and screamed, "The village boundary is destroyed. The internal strife is full of shit juice, and the mud brave man cooks soup. The boundary monument is broken." Qin Feng hugged his buttocks and stared at the shitty wolf eyes, and yelled, "Old Yi, the bottom of the boundary collapsed. The nickname, Mud Pig Devil, in the shit world is shattered, and the business world the tombstone is yellow." Li Xiu sneaked into the boundary of the book, and the wet ink was dizzy and trembling with laughter, the climax of the list. The monsters are fighting in the bath, all logic is destroyed. Su Wan mother wet her sleeves and folded her arms, crying with a bone-chilling voice, "Husband/dad, the world is fighting for the shit pit too. Housework mud loses, save the village pig soup to be exempted." Suddenly the ground cracked and the boundary monument made a loud noise. The black juice and feces waterfall gushed into the sky. The smelly waves filled the sky. The black shadows of the magic rice fields were patrolling the border and the chaos broke out. The 2 fat ants slapped the mud and the cattle's eyes turned white. They trembled in despair and rolled their heads, "Demon king of the boundary shit waterfall. I ruined the village and the sickle fan was blind." The pig-leg garden cowshed regretted it. Lao Wang's bald head hit the monument and his bald hair flew from his nose and his nose was drawn. The goblin screamed, "The secret recipe world is shattered. The green ball is overrun with shit and porridge, and the pig-roaring banquet is full of internal strife." The strong man in the village was filled with sweat and roared, and ran away with his sickle jingling, the crisis in the village is completely wiped out. The villain of the fat ant Ergu is defeated, and the mud brave man's human shield reappears. Ye Chen's robe cracked with golden light and blue flames, and the brave man's momentum was released like the heavy pressure of a demon-slaying battlefield. The inner resourcefulness of lightning was the ultimate reversal of the rural model. The trump card was shocking. All members worked together to form the Monster Chicken and Pig Alliance. He roared and jumped over the monument to repair the hoe. The phantom blade buzzed and chopped shit. The mud wall beside the waterfall collapsed and black juice stopped gushing out. He grabbed Su Wan's wet sleeve and threw it in the air. He yelled, "Honey, mother, the broken handle of the broomstick is connected with the fairy arch. The golden flame of the Egg King seals the boundary, and the fat green ball blocks the crack." The girl with a bright nose shrieked in admiration and trembled. Dad's trump card in the god realm explodes. Shit waterfall seals mother's daughter to win the championship. Feng clapped his legs and stood up. Shit flying carriage wooden planks pushed the world with rumbles. Old Ye, the battle in the divine realm. The city team's tiles seal shit, and the chicken and pig realm's net condoms are selling like crazy. Li Xiuxiu shot a ball of shit to seal the seams and laughed like a ghost. Turning to ecstasy, the king of comedy in the world of list reversal. Infighting and internal strife will stay forever. Lao Wang, a bald man, holding a green ball, chirping at the monument, chubby and crispy, chewing on the mud, snapping mud and snot flying in his nose, trembling wildly, turning to thank you. Ye Chen joins forces with the world god. The secret recipe fairy blocks shit and roars to banquet the solid world forever. The two bull-eyed dogs turn to respect each other, grinding the wall, sweating, and laughing. Roaring, regretting and trembling, Ye Chen's world is victorious. The farm is destroyed, the cowshed is full of strife, and the sickles are harvested, and the pig legs are donated to the boundary monument for eternity. The fat ant's fan is sealed, her fat face is pale, twitching, and she is laughing in despair. She is defeated and shouts, the world of hidden masters is reversed. The sickle fans are beating each other in vain, and the extravagant internal strife is over. The boundary monuments work together to warm up the pig legs. The excrement waterfall gradually stopped, the gurgling weak black sap dispersed, the scent of tree sap mixed with green, the chirping pigs roared with laughter, the flying chickens with rainbow feathers descended from the monument and pecked at the excrement, the blue flame was faintly humming, the golden flame of the Egg King burned the edges, the grass ashes flew and the wooden board was sealed. The whole village's eyes widened and trembled, and they bowed in ecstasy. The strong man, the fat ant, raised her palm fan in the air and shouted loudly, the climax of the village god world is to become a god. The muddy brave man reverses the internal strife and donates chicken and pig legs to the world of Jingyong. Su Wan wetted her sleeve sure and I hugged Ye Chen with her arms on her hips, flushed, smiling and trembling, pushing her chest muscles to warm up. Husband, we won the battle over housework. Mom and daughter teamed up to tie the whole family, and the friendship exploded in the pig soup fairy bath celebration. The clear green ball tweeted and climbed on Dad's shoulder, the buzzing girl pouted her eyes. Wet and excited, he hugged his legs and squirted, Dad, the god of boundary monument shit nights. The whole family gnaws on the crispy porridge, and the bath and the parents win the championship. Feng slapped his legs and rolled around in dumbfounded laughter, Mo Fei shivered and worshipped, Old Yi, the contrast between the nuclear bomb world and the double explosion. The brave man Niba Fengshen fell in love with him, and the nickname, Jie Jing Pig Farmer, went crazy. Li Xiu rubbed his eyes in the new page, and Mo Fei smiled and worshipped, Boss, the world's best gods. The fairy bathing internal strife will make you laugh forever. The fat ant Erga knelt down on the mud, her eyes wet with regret, and knocked on the monument with a sickle fan and offered it, Ye Chen, the internal strife of the villains has been defeated in despair. The boundary monument of the cattle shed is forever grateful for the donation of pig legs and the sickle fan will warm it up. Lao Wang, a bald man with a snot in his nose, hugged the goblin and kowtowed wildly, Ye Chen is the world god of the whole village. The world of pig roaring banquets has been opened, and the alliance with pig legs will be forever solidified. Zhang the rich fan coughed in his handkerchief and piled gold with a smile, Master Yi, by all the net business in the world. The horse carriage silk skirt is exchanged for the pig's leg expansion. Ye Chen gasped for shit, and the muddy robe shimmered with golden light. His heart relaxed and smiled. The game ended, retirement and lying on the flat world climax release, housework and bathing crisis, laughter and friendship rise, the brave rural model explodes, the nickname warm stem lasts. Su Wan Qingqing wrapped her arms around her waist, wet her sleeves, and pushed her breasts warmly with creamy shit and mud, her eyes wet and trembling with a smile, husband/dad, win the bathing world celebration. The pig soup and porridge are crispy, lie flat and love each other. Qin Feng and Li Xiu followed, clapped their legs and ghostly smiled, and Hu Fein worshipped, Old Yi, the village warm world climax. The city team helps to expand the farm, and the big plan is launched. The chickens, pigs and demons join forces in the magic field of 100 acres, and the business is smooth and win-win. The forest breeze blows coolly, the pigs hum green and laugh, the rainbow flags are shining in the golden light of the sun, the new crisis in the world is gleaming, and the plan to expand the farm is laughing. The dirt on the village road is roasted by the scorching sun, and the lingering fragrance of feces and mud turns to the sweet scent of tree sap. The rainbow flag sways in the breeze with its gold edge flashing, and the pigs hum and green chirp into a joyous buzz. The cracks in the boundary stone bricks have been sealed, and the black juice is clear and fragrant, revealing the fragrance of new soil. The 80 flying chickens' rainbow feathers lightly descend on the field ridges and peck away the residue, followed by a faint buzzing warning. The golden egg king is rolled with a green ball, and the fat mounds crunch the mud and make a harmless jingle. The strong men in the village, the fat ant, raised her cattail fan high, worshipped with wet eyes, roared and rumbling around Ye Chen's robe, cracked with golden light, shimmering with lingering warmth and bulging veins. Su Wan's wet sleeves were covered with feces and mud around her waist, her chest muscles were flushed and smiling, her eyes were wet and warm, her legs were hugged with butter, her face was hot and her lips were pouting. She was chirping excitedly, and the egg king was crawling over her shoulders, buzzing and spraying blue flames, and the corners of her burning robe were sizzling with white smoke. Qin Feng slapped his legs and rolled mud on the ground, roaring and trembling dumbly. Li Xiu rubbed his book with ghost eyes and was dizzy, laughing and shaking in ecstasy. Lao Wang, a bald man, knocked on the monument with snot and flew into the goblin's arms and thanked him wildly. Ye Chen's panting robe is slippery with feces and mud dripping, his flesh is loosened, his veins are loosened, and his inner game is over with a smile. The climax of the boundary monument is released, a new chapter opens after retirement, and the nickname turns into a lasting friendship. Su Wan pushed up her arms, wet her sleeves, shook off the feces and mud, splashed her nose with sour rot, put her hands on her hips, turned blue and turned red. Husband, the world is warmer than the whole village. Mothers and daughters are competing for pig soup exemptions in the bath, and the plan to expand agriculture is celebrated first with pigs roaring in goblin porridge, and the bathhouse well water is green and mist clear. The clear egg king was being fucked by the green ball. The girl's eyes lit up and she cried with excitement, Dad, the champion of the boundary monument takes a bath. Mommy's green ball chews the well water, Daddy's muddy brave expands the agricultural emperor, tweets flying eggs to celebrate. Qin Feng stood up and shit. The flying legs were rolling with mud rumbling, Hu Maxiang was roaring and trembling, Old Yi, the world is clean and nuclear explosion. The new nickname, Imperial Mud Farmer, is locked, the city team carriage investment is online, the magic field is 100 acres of chickens and pigs, and the business is flat and expanding. Zhang. Li Xiu sneaked across the field and dropped the book, and Mo Fei smiled and trembled, Boss, the list expansion chapter is warming up. The pig farmer of the empire of shit realm explodes, the fairy bath continues the world of shit and chickens, and the housework expands the escape alliance. The whole village was dirty and the aftermath was turning into a celebration. The sleeves of her robe were wet and dirty, with a thin layer of hot, stinky, creamy feces and mud. The fragrance of the well water filled her nostrils. Su Wan akimbo threw the broken handle of the broom in the air, slapped her wet sleeves and pushed Ye Chen's chest with a smooth smile and blush. "Hubby, the pig-roaring banquet is about to begin." Mother's green ball teamed up with goblin crispy porridge, and the Empire's farmers expanded their fields and cooked soup to celebrate. Qingqing hugged 3 green balls and chirped with her fat paws to scratch the shit. The muditch crawls on the shoulders, the egg king buzzes, the blue flames burn, the grass on the field is ashes, the girl pouts, and the creamy pig face is hot. Dad, the champion of the expansion of the farm bath. The fairy fat but arches 100 acres of crispy gnawing, and the imperial dad is the pig knight. Everyone laughed at the nickname, Jian Yuhong, of the empire. He fisted his robes and flew into the mud and roared, suppressing his courage. He suppressed his courage and said, "Expand the farming festival. Our magic field army is summoned, and the pigs, chickens and fairies will unite the light." The whole village's eyes widened and trembled in anticipation. Feng scumbag laughed, "Imperial farmer field battle. Flying eggs, thunder and monsters. 10 acres of magic fields behind the hut, golden ears of rice swaying, black shadows patrolling the border buzzing with warning, the scorching sun lengthening the shadows." Zhang Fu's carriage rumbled into the silk skirt, the smell of perfume mixed with the pig's humming green, the businessman's fat face smiled with gold, fanned his handkerchief and coughed, "Master Yi, the magical skill of Ye Chen. I invested 100 gold coins in the city to expand the farmland by hundreds of acres." Chickens and pigs. Goblins set up gold business, the carriage silk skirts are exchanged for pig legs to expand. Feng slapped his legs and Hu Fei shouted, "Brother Zhang Fu, come on. Line. The farmer of Lei Empire is born, the rice in the magic field is doubled, and the fairy crispy porridge is selling like crazy." Li Xiu's ghostly laughing book, Mo Fei's, expanding the farming empire, shoots the shit balls crookedly on the fields and cracks the grass, and trembles with a sinister smile. List. The capital explosion. There are many misunderstandings among the pig farmers in the shit world, and the army of goblins is warming up. The fat ant of the whole village roared with admiration, "The expansion of the agricultural empire has begun." The Ye Chen Niba brave leads the army, donating the sickle and fanning the pig legs forever. Unexpectedly, the investment collapsed in a flash, green mist popped out from the cracks in the fields, and an army of knee-high goblins spewed out, chirping, crispy shells, gnawing, and crackling, the golden ears of rice cracked, the fragrant cream mixed with black juice, the smell of feces, and the heat wave hit my waist. Goblins invade the farmland. Opening, the green ball, the fat guy, Zhang Fu, the carriage arch, the silk skirt, tearing and chirping, the brittle claws scratching the wheels, rumbling and tilting, the businessman's fat face turned pale, his handkerchief fell into the mud, he screamed, trembled, held his head and rolled, "Master Yi, invest in the goblin avalanche. My gold coins are rotten in the 100-acre field, the silk skirt and pig legs are all ruining the dream of the empire." Broken. Su Wan's wet sleeves were fucked by the goblins, and the broken handle of the broom was smacked. She cried uncontrollably, "Honey, the goblins are messing with the expansion of agriculture. The green fat man is going to fuck the mother's rice, and the empire's farmers are calling for investment. The smell of shit is doubled." The egg king was held by the goblins, rolling around on the ridge, and the golden eggs were clanking. The rice-ear girl's creamy pig face and pig nose burst into tears and laughed excitedly, "Dad, fairy Tian Jun. The green ball is chirping and the egg king is cheating on me, and mother's field basin is flying with shit." Feng, Hu Mafei, hugged his belly and rolled on the edge of the field. The wolf's eyes turned white in fear, and he roared and trembled, "Old Yi, the magic investment collapsed. The fairy empire mud demon king. My carriage is avalanche in the green mist field, and the chicken sells the goblin field's net cover." Li Xiugue rubbed his eyes and opened Mo Fei's sleeve to shoot the feces ball crookedly hitting the goblin's fat mound and chewing on the crispy shell. After hearing the news, the weird old king, with his bald head, knocked on the field, his nose was snotty, and his green ball was trembling wildly. He joined the complaining party. Ye Chen is lying to God. My secret recipe is the fairy crispy field porridge, and the rice pig roaring banquet is open. The Green Army Allied forces win the investment. The goblin group tweeted, the fat guy pounced on the whole family, the rice ears rumbled, the mud slapped, the creamy fragrance was pungent, the heat wave was hot, and the black juice and feces mud was poured into the field ditch, and the smelly waves were so hot. Su Wan's wet sleeves were slid on the field platform with her arms akimbo. She cried and pushed Ye Chen's arms, which were bone-chilling. Husband, the fairies win in the field fight. Mother's green balls smashed over 100 acres, and the empire's farmers cooked pig soup and added field porridge as punishment. The Qingqing egg-holding king turned green and fat with his claws and tickled the girl, pouting her mouth and eyes with wet heat and squirting. Dad, the knights of the fields are flying. The fairies are so crispy, Mom, Dad. God reverses the field championship. The scene is extremely absurd. The green mist on the field is flapping and chirping, the crisp sound is mixed with the blue flames, the buzzing egg king is spraying hot rice ash, the flying wooden cart is sizzling and fragrant, the pig is cheering and the iron chain is jingling, the wild boar king is arching the fence and roaring, 80 flying chickens, rainbow feathers, falling on the field, pecking the crispy shells of the goblins, flying in the sky, creamy shit mist and poisonous gas field. Battle reappears. The whole village's eyes widened and they trembled, laughing and shouting in fear. The fairies are lying in the fields and causing chaos. The Green Army conquers the fields and the pigs smell like shit, and the expansion of farming has turned into a massacre and everything is destroyed. Tian Pai Shun Feng laughed at the violent attack at the bottom of the valley, and Qin Feng's beard was slapped on the leg by the goblin, saying, Old Yi, the empire farmer is at the bottom of the valley. The city team invested in the green mist chicken to peck, and the gold coin field porridge was mocked. Green Party sneaked into the field and shot the rice ears with top-sleeved shoes. Lao Wang's bald head was bald and his hair flew away, and his nose sprayed out. The mutual cheating field list will stay forever. Su Wan Qingqing's mother's girl couplet rice ears were flying into the sky and the branches and leaves of the tree were rustling. The fat ant of the two dogs smelled the wind and the bull's eyes were red and swollen. Misunderstandings broke out when fans slapped each other. Ye Chen will destroy the internal strife. The boundary markers of my cowshed and pig pens will be expanded by goblins, and half an acre of rice will be harvested by my sickle. The fat ant slapped two dogs' arms with red swollen fans and said angrily, the cow's eyes are blind. The boundary of my vegetable field in the garden is crooked, and the cattail fans are crushing the goblins. Farm, pig legs are donated to the field to fight for the land. Ye Chen hoed and pestled the field. The pig's robe tightened, and the golden light buzzed to suppress the peak of despair at the bottom of the valley. The investment in the field demon bites the chicken feathers, and the expansion of internal strife in the peasantry has hidden worries in the field, and the people mocked the land of the empire. The arrows rained down on the lungs like a double irrigation of field soup. The fat ants of the two dogs slapped each other with sickle fans, and the bloodthirsty flying Lao Wang demon fucked the cow's eyes and screamed, the field is destroyed. The fields are gushing with internal strife, and the empire's farmers are cooking soup. The fields are smashed. Qin Feng hugged his buttocks, his eyes were full of shit, and he yelled, Old Yi, the bottom of the field has collapsed. The nickname is the pig demon of the shitfield empire, invest in it. Is the field dirty? Li Xiu sneaked into Qianbin's book, and his eyes were full of laughter and trembling. The climax of the list. The demon Tian is fighting, all logic is destroyed. Su Wan Qingqing's mother wet her sleeves and folded her arms, crying with a bone-chilling voice, Husband/Dad, the field fight is a shithole. The housework empire is defeated, save the village pig soup to be exempted. Suddenly there was a loud rumble in the ditch, a stinking wave of black juice and feces filled the sky, and the black shadows of the magic rice fields exploded and patrolled the border. The two fat ants slapped the mud and bulls, and their eyes turned white in fear. They trembled and rolled their heads in despair. field shit waterfall devil. I destroyed the fields and blinded myself with the sickle fan, and the pig-leg cowshed regretted it to death. Lao Wang's bald head hit the fields, his bald hair flew, his nose was snot, and he hugged the goblin and screamed, "Secret recipe Tian crisp." The Green Army is drowning in feces and porridge, and the pigs are feasting on internal strife. The villagers are filled with sweat and roar, and they are running away with scythes jingling. The crisis in the field is completely wiped out. The two fat ant villains are defeated, and the imperial farmer's human shield reappears. Ye Chen's robe cracks with golden light and blue flames. The nuclear explosion rises and the brave man's momentum is released like a demon-slaying field battle. The inner resourcefulness of lightning is the ultimate reversal of the rural model. The trump card is shocking. A series of absurd tactics exploded. He yelled to jump over the field to repair the hoe, the phantom blade buzzed and chopped the mud wall beside the waterfall to stop the black juice from gushing out. He grabbed Su Wan's wet sleeve and threw it in the air. He yelled, "Honey, mommy," the broken handle of the broomstick is combined with the shovel and sword formation. The golden flame of the Egg King seals the ditch, and the green fat peer turns to the mine to assist. He turned around and pulled the clear Egg King, buzzing and spraying blue flames to burn the shit bubbles. The girl's eyes brightened with the fresh fragrance and she screamed in admiration and trembled, "Dad, Canda's trump card is blowing." Shit waterfall seals mother and daughter to win the championship, and the shovel sword flies to the sky. Su Wan akimbo, wet sleeves, broken broom handle, and mother's shovel slapped the goblin, fat, crispy shell, flying cream, cracked and choked her nose. She turned green and blushed and pushed the leaves. Chen's arm was trembling warmly. "Husband, what a great tactic." The mother-daughter sword formation turns into a fairy porridge, and housework turns into a field battle. Qingqing, the egg-hugging king, pits his green fat claws and turns his auxiliary girl, pouting with excitement, "Dad, shovel the sword and egg lay June." The goblin's crispy arch turns to explode, and the imperial parents win the field. Feng patted. He stood up and pushed the wooden plank of the carriage into the field with a rumble. "Old Ye, fight in the field." The city team sealed the tiles with shit, invested in the chicken and pig fields, and the net condoms sold like crazy. Li Xiuxiu shot a ball of shit to block the ditch, and the ghost laughed and ecstatically said, "The comedy king of the field has reversed the list." The absurdity of internal strife will last forever, and the shoveling of swords and eggs will explode. The flying chicken army heard the order and the rainbow feathers descended wildly on the field. The buzzing blue flames swept the goblin group. The 80 eggs rolled like landmines and the golden egg kings at the feet of the fairies led the army. The blue flames scalded the crispy shells and crackled. The cream rained down, the heat wave flew into the sky, the fragrance mixed with the stinky shit. Repairing the phantom blade of hoeing, Ye Chen wields a shovel, the sword formation hums, a whirlwind chops the field, the mud wall collapses, the goblin arches and flees, chirps, the fat pit rolls harmlessly, crunches and self-destructs. Su Wan Qingqing's mother's shovel sword linkage snaps to empty the rice ears, the shield, the golden ears sway, the black shadow patrols the border, buzzes and cheers. The two-dog Fat and Pooh Fan misunderstood and stopped the internal strife. She turned to pay homage to the field wall, sweated, laughed, growled, and trembled with regret. Ye Chen wins. The farm was destroyed and the fight in the cowshed stopped. The pig legs were donated to the field boundary. The border was unexpectedly leveled. Fat and Pooh Fan sealed the ditch, her fat face turned pale, twitched, laughed, and cried in despair. Hidden Master Tian reverses the situation. They fight each other for extravagant internal strife, and the Tianjia team up to warm up and donate pig legs to expand the acreage. Lao Wang, the bald man, hugged the green army, and Gongtian's fat and crispy shells gnawed on the mud and smacked their noses. They trembled and thanked him. Ye Chen joins forces with the Tian Shen. The secret recipe demon blocks the shit and roars to solidify the field forever, and the alliance expands to 100 acres. The excrement waterfall gradually stopped, the weak black sap dispersed, the fragrance of the tree sap mixed with the green, the pigs hummed and laughed, the flying chickens with rainbow feathers descended on the fields and pecked the excrement, the blue flames were faint and humming, the egg king's golden flame burned the edges, the rice ashes flew and the shovel sword sealed the rice, the golden ears were reborn, and the black shadow patrolled the edge and calmed down. The whole village's eyes widened, trembling, and they bowed in ecstasy and roared with joy. The strong man, the fat ant, raised her palm fan in the air and shouted loudly, "The village god is becoming a god at a climax." The farmers of the empire reversed the internal strife and donated chickens and pig legs to Tianjin. Su Wan wet her sleeves and made a mud fork. Hugging Ye Chen, his arms turned red and his chest muscles were warm with a smile. "Husband, the farm dispute is a big win." Mom and daughter teamed up to tie the whole family, and the friendship between the pig soup fairy Tianqing exploded, and the investment of hundreds of gold acres is warm. The clear and green army tweeted and climbed on Dad's shoulders, the egg king buzzed and the girl pouted. Eyes wet with excitement, he hugged his legs and squirted, "Dad, the night god of field tablets. The whole family will eat the crispy porridge, and the parents of the champions of agricultural expansion will win 100 acres. Feng slapped his legs and rolled around in dumbfounded laughter. Fei shivered and worshipped, "Old Yi," the contrast between the double explosion of nuclear bombs in the fields. The brave Empire Fengshan fell in love with the nickname Tianjing Pig Farmer Emperor, and sold the chicken and pig demon suit like crazy. Li Xiu Ghost rubbed his eyes and Fei smiled in the new page of the book and worshipped, "Boss, Tian Fengshan on the climax list." The fairy Tian fights with swords and eggs and laughs forever. Zhang Fu, with a fat face and a golden smile, stacked carriages and silk skirts and donated 100 gold coins to knock on the fields. "Master Yi, the evil investment goblins are defeated. The farm boundary is expanded to 100 acres. Thank you for donating pig legs and sickle fans to boost business." Lao Wang, a bald man with a snotty nose, hugged the goblin and kowtowed wildly, "Ye Chen is the god of all the fields in the village. The pig roars to feast on the clean version of the field, and the alliance is forever solidified by pig legs." Ergu Fat Ant knelt in the mud and cow eyes wet and regretful, trembling and knocking on the field sickle fan, he presented, "Ye Chen, the boundary of the villain's internal strife was unexpectedly leveled. Thank you for donating pig legs to enlarge the boundary of the cattle shed." Ye Chen gasped for feces, the mud-dripping robe, the golden light flashed, his heart relaxed and smiled, and the game stopped, retired and lying on the flat field, the climax was released, the crisis of housework and farm disputes made the friendship rise, the brave rural model exploded, and the nickname, "Warm Stem," lasts for 100 acres. Su Wan Qingqing wrapped her arms around her waist, wet her sleeves and pushed her breasts warmly with creamy shit and her eyes were wet with a smile, "Husband/dad, we all win over Tianqing. The pig soup and porridge are crispy and we are deeply in love." Feng and Li Xiu followed, clapped their legs and ghostly smiled, and Hu Fein worshipped, "Old Yi, the village warm fields are climax. Our city team is helping to expand the farm, and the big plan is upgraded, the magic field is 200 acres, chickens, pigs, demons unite the empire, the business is flat and win-win." The emotional climax is released, the fire is warm and the cucumbers are fragrant, and the laughter is like waves in the night sky. Feng's eyes suddenly brightened like a wolf, and he slapped Hu Mafei on the thigh, "Old Yi, I'm bringing my city businessmen buddies. Come to the village tomorrow morning to discuss big business, the magic chicken export city. The green-skinned king has information, he has an inside story." Before he finished speaking, the black energy from the east of the village rolled again, a low roar was faintly like thunder, green-eyed ghost fire locked the hut, and the crisis was rising like a storm. Green mist fills the hut, creamy feces and mud pour into the sky, the wooden door of the closet crackles and chirps, an army of fat green-skinned goblins spurts out like a tide, knee-high bodies arch over the bathtub, iron chains jingle, and the green mist in the well mixes with the stench of feces. The heat wave stung her nose and stung her lungs. Su Wan's wet sleeves were thrown away, the broom handle was broken, and the mud fell on her hips. She was livid and screamed, pushing Ye Chen's chest muscles to become slippery. Husband, the green monster hidden in the bath destroyed the family. The ultimate battle between mother and daughter in housework, pig soup and field porridge were exempted from the nuclear war in the sea, and the empire the farmer lies down and his dream is shattered. The girl with the egg-hugging gurgling and rolling legs and the golden eggs jingled against the cabinet. Her creamy pig face was hot and she was pouting and crying and laughing. She pushed her father's arm to the bone with excitement. "Dad, let's get down at home with the green ball. The Egg King is hot and crispy with blue flames and flying in the closet of my mother. Housework Empire Shithole 5, the champion of saving the whole family. Ye Chen's robe is cracked, the golden light is shining, and he is repairing it with a hoe and pestle. The pig's robe is tightened and his veins are buzzing. His heart is sinking, Tianxing's family is ruined. Expanding the farm to 100 acres and moving to a sea of shit, retiring and lying on the bottom of the world." When Qin Feng heard the news, he barged in and the carriage rumbled to a stop, slapping his legs and rolling in the mud. He was dumbfounded, his wolf eyes widened, and he roared and trembled, "Old Yi, the housework bath is hidden in the green avalanche. The new nickname, the Pig Demon King of the Shit Family Empire, is locked. The climax of the city team's nickname contest is about to begin. I'm going crazy with my beard." Li Xiu sneaked around. The window book was opened, and the ink flew out of the sleeves. The feces balls were stuck crookedly, the green fat mounds were chewing on the crispy shells, and they were laughing sinisterly. They were shaking and shrieking in fear. "Boss, the housework list has exploded. The goblin bath hides infighting and escapes, and the shit logic of the continuation of the field chapter and the family chapter is shattered." After hearing the news, the whole village's weirdos poured in, and the two dogs' bull eyes were red and swollen, and the sickle jingled. Fans clicked when they had time. Lao Wang was bald, his nose was stringy, and he was hugging his 3 green balls and shaking wildly. Zhang Fu, his fat face, his handkerchief dropped in the mud, hugging the wheels of the carriage and rolling. "Master Yi, the family investment collapsed. The green mist arch wardrobe, silk skirt, pig legs were all destroyed, 100 acres expanded to 200 dreams of broken sea." The scene was extremely absurd. The green mist of thatched house, the fat man fluttered and chirped, his brittle claws scratched the wall, and sawdust flew into the sky. The smell of cream mixed with feces was filled with poisonous gas. The 80 flying chickens' rainbow feathers buzzed and buzzed down on the roof. Eggs rained down on the roof to preheat the blue flame tail sweep. The iron chain outside the wild boar king's circle roared and the arch railing cheered. The bathtub flipped over and smashed the window glass. The tinkling sound of the well water and the green mist fountain shot into the sky. The ultimate housework quarrel broke out. Su Wan and her mother and daughter joined forces with arms akimbo, wet sleeves and breasts, and glared at each other. "Qingqing, let go of the green monster after the bath. Mommy is so tired from the soup and porridge, and the housework empire loses the pig night." Qingqing pouted and hugged the Egg King, rolled into the pit with green fat claws and tickled the girl's hot squirt and counterattacked. "Mom, you win the battle with the shovel sword, hide the green balls in the bath. Wang Feng, you are ruining the empire with your housework pig soup." Qin Feng hugged his belly, Hu Maxiang slapped his legs and rolled on the ground, roaring, the climax of the nickname competition. The bath shit house husband and the egg pig empress lie down and make fun of the world. Li Xiu's ghost laugh book, family chapter, mother and daughter's infighting green army, sleeves and shoes shot the wall and hit Lao Wang's bald head and his hair flying nose. She burst into tears. The family list of each other's cheating will stay forever, and the family version of the goblin crispy porridge will be open. The two fat ants slapped each other's arms with cattail fans, and the cow's eyes were red and swollen. They were furious. Ye Chen's family was destroyed by internal strife. The boundary of the cowshed in our garden was expanded to donate pig legs, and the sickle fan in the housework was pressed against the green fat man. The fat ant closed the door with a cattail fan, her fat face twitched and screamed, "Blind bull's eye." The family boundary has been expanded by half, the cattail Feng beats the goblin's house, and the pig's legs are thrown into the bath to fight over. The old Wong goblin clenched his nose and hugged the green army and screamed, "The family's secret recipe is broken. The green tide is flooding the porridge with feces, and the pigs are roaring and feasting on the family version of the hatred." The strong men in the village ran away with sweaty and smelly roars, and their sickles clashed with each other. The family is in crisis. The two fat ants are defeated, and the imperial farmer's human shield is back. Ridiculing the nickname Arrow Rain, Feng slapped his legs with mud and foam flying on his legs. Old Ye, the bottom of the house collapsed. The city team invested in green fog chickens to peck the house, and the gold coins bathed the porridge to mock it. Li Shuin laughed and feared that ghosts were scurrying around the house. Qing's mother, with her arms and sleeves wet, cried and pushed Ye Chen, husband/dad, the family is fighting for 6. The pig soup goblin is losing to the family celebration, save the village and lay down to be exempted. Suddenly there was a loud bang in the beams of the house, a black juice excrement gushed out, and the house sprayed hot and stench into the sky. It backfired in the magic field. Black shadows patrolled the edges and broke into the house. The green goblin army overturned the bed. The creamy shit mist choked the nose, and the fat ant of the two dogs slapped the mud cow's eyes and rolled over in despair, the family shit waterfall demon. The internal strife destroyed the family and the sickle fan was blind, the pig-leg garden cowshed regrets it. Lao Wang, a bald man, hit the cabinet and slapped his nose was drawn, and he hugged the demon and trembled wildly. The secret recipe is fragile. The green army is flooding the house with shit porridge. Inside the banquet, sang Yong. The strong man from the village roared with a terrifying explosion of sickles, the whole family is destroyed. The villains are defeated, and the farmer's family war is reappearing. Ye Chen's robe is torn apart, golden light and blue flames are exploded, the heroic momentum is released, the pressure of the demon-slaying family is released, and the inner resourcefulness is lightning. The ultimate rural mode, the trump card of the ultimate shovel magic series of ridiculous explosions. He jumped over the house and repaired the hoe with a low roar. The phantom blade buzzed and the whirlwind chopped down the wooden beams beside the waterfall to stop the black juice from spraying out. He grabbed Su Wan and threw his wet sleeves in the air and yelled, "Wife, mother and daughter shovel swords to join the formation." The Egg King's golden flame seals the beam ditch, the green fat peer turns around to assist with the thunder, and the flying chicken army rains down eggs and crisps them up. He pulled the clear Egg King around to buzz and spray blue flames to burn the shit bubbles. The girl's eyes lit up with sizzling fragrance, she screamed in admiration, shivered and squirted hotly, Daddy's trump card exploded. Shit waterfall sealed the champion of Mom's daughter's family, shoveling sword and flying egg lay June. Su Wan akimbo, wet sleeves, broken broom handle, and Mom's shovel sword array, whipping the green fat, crispy shell, flying cream, cracking, choking heat, she turned green and turned red. Ye Chen's arms were warm and trembling with a smile, husband, God's family tactics. The mother-daughter sword array, the goblin family's porridge is crispy, housework turns into a nuclear war, and the hot pig soup is exempted. Qingqing hugged the Egg King, rolled the green fat claws, and turned the assistant, pouting excitedly, Dad, shovel the sword eggs and the lay family army. The goblins are crispy, and the empire parents are the winners. Feng slapped his legs. He stood up and pushed the wooden planks of the horse carriage to the house with a rumble. Old Yi, the sage family is fighting. The city team is sealing the tiles with shit, the green mist avalanches, and the investment in chicken and pig home net sets is selling like crazy. Li Xiuxiu shot a ball of shit to block the beam and rubbed his eyes in ecstasy, the comedy king of family reversal. The absurd internal strife, shoveling swords, eggs, and thunder stalks will explode forever, and the list will be crowned gods. The ultimate shovel magic activates. Ye Chen repairs the hoe, the phantom blade flashes with golden light and buzzes loudly, the hoe transforms into 100 shovels, a sword rain whirlwind sweeps through the house, a green mist, a crispy shell explodes, a rain of cream pours into the sky, 80 flying chickens, rainbow feathers rain down, a buzzing blue flame tail sweeps the goblin eggs, and the golden egg king leads the army, buzzing blue flames, crispy, snapping, flying into the sky, the shit mist clears, tree sap is fragrant. And the pig hums green chirping. The wild boar king's iron chain broke and roared, and he rushed into the overturned bathtub. The green demon's tide rumbled and rolled harmlessly. Su Wan Qingqing's mother and daughter used their shovel swords to protect the bed, the sheets, the golden spikes, the shield, swaying black shadows, patrolling the border, buzzing and cheering. The fat ant of the two dogs stopped fighting in the cattail fan, and the bull's eyes turned white in silence, and turned to pay tribute to the dog, grinding the wall of the beam, sweating, laughing, and growling, regretting and trembling. Ye Chen's family wins. The garden was destroyed, the cattle shed stopped fighting, and the family accepted the thanks, and the pig legs were donated to the family forever, and the border was unexpectedly peaceful. The fat ant, the cattail fan, sealed the ditch, her fat face turned pale, twitched, and turned around laughing and crying, "Hide, the master's family has turned around." The sickle fans are fighting each other, and the family members are working together to warm up the pig legs and expand the family. The bald old man hugged the green army and tweeted, the fat man of the Gong family was chewing on the wood and snotting, and he was trembling with thanks. Ye Chen joins forces with the family god. The secret recipe for the demon to stop the shit and roar for a long time to strengthen the family line, and expand the farmer's family forever. The excrement waterfall gradually stopped. The gurgling weak black juice cleared and the well water was fragrant. Laughter rumbled and the roof beams were steady. Flying chickens with rainbow feathers descended from the house and pecked the excrement. The blue flames buzzed faintly. The golden flames of the egg king burned the edges of the bed. The ashes flew away. The shovel sword sealed the wardrobe wooden door and the wooden door of the wardrobe was sealed. The black shadow was reborn in calm. The whole village's eyes widened and trembled, and they turned to worship in ecstasy. The strong man, the fat ant, raised her palm fan in the air and shouted loudly, "The village god's family is crowned god." The peasants in the empire reversed the internal strife and wiped out the family. They donated chickens and pig legs to expand the family forever. Su Wan's wet sleeves were filled with feces and mud, and she hugged Ye Chen with arms akimbo and blushed. The trembling chest muscles warmed the eyes and wet eyes. Husband, the family fight over housework is a victory. Mom and daughter join forces to make the whole family harmonious. The pig soup fairy family celebration explodes, and the investment is warm and peaceful. The green army of clear and green tweeted and climbed on Dad's shoulders. The buzzing girl pouted, eyes moistened and hugged her legs in excitement. Dad, family, the night god of monument. The whole family gnaws on the crispy porridge, and the parents of the champions of the peasant family win 100 rooms. Feng slapped his legs and rolled around, roaring dumbfounded and laughing. Mo Fei shivered and gave in. Old Yi, the contrast between the nuclear bombers and the gods. I laughed until I gave up and fell in love with the country. Ping, the nickname of the king of pig farmers, is warm and sells chickens and pig demons forever. Li Xiu ghost rubbed his eyes and Mo Fei smiled in the new page and screamed in admiration, "Boss, the climax of the family list is to become a god. The goblin family is fighting with swords and eggs, and the laughter will shake the sky forever, and I will admit defeat as the country meme king." Zhang Fu, with his chubby face and golden smile, piled up carriages and silk skirts and donated them all, knocked on the door. "Master Yi, the villain investment house demon is defeated. The family has expanded. Donate pig legs and sickle fans to turn business into 200 acres. Lao Wang, a bald man with a snot in his arms, hugged the demon and kowtowed wildly. Ye Chen is the god of the whole village. The clean version of the pig roaring banquet is open, and the alliance of pig legs will last forever in the 100-acre family. Ergu fat ant knelt down and sighed. Wet and regretful, he trembled and knocked on the ground with a cattail leaf fan and offered, "Ye Chen, the villain's internal strife has unexpectedly brought peace to the family. Thank you for donating pig legs to expand the cowsheet family." Ye Chen gasped for excrement, and the muddy robe shimmered with golden light, his heart relaxed and he smiled. The game ended, retirement and lying in the Ping family climax release, Tian family's crisis laughs and friendship rises, the brave rural model explodes, the nickname, warm stem, lasts for 200 acres of family. Su Wan Qingqing wrapped her arms around her waist, wet her sleeves, and pushed her breasts with warmth. Her eyes were moist and she was smiling and hugging her, husband/dad, celebrate the victory. The pig soup and porridge are crispy and we will lie down and love each other forever. Feng and Li Xiu followed, patting their legs and ghostly laughing, and Hu Fein worshipped and hugged his shoulders, old man. Yi, the Kunyuan family is at a climax. The team in Anqing has a big plan to expand the farm. The magic field of 200 acres of chickens, pigs and monsters is a win-win situation. A review of the era of the devil, the demon-slaying robe burst into golden light, and today the shit-shoveling family is reversed. Long live the farmer. The whole village's strange cows with wet eyes roared and trembled in worship. The fat ant waved her fan in the air and raised her 2 dog sickles high. The old king and the fairy chirped to the sky. The strong man roared with sweat and stinky hands. Zhang Fu's handkerchief smiled goldenly and said to each other, long live the farmer. God of purification of the shit family field boundary. Expand the empire of agriculture. The pig roar banquet will be open forever. Lie in Pingping Township. The village is filled with laughter. The flying chickens are circling with rainbow feathers, buzzing and raining eggs are celebrating. The faint fragrance of blue flames is coming. The king of wild boars is roaring and arching over the fence. The golden egg king is grunting and gnawing harmlessly. The wind is blowing the cool rice waves. The pigs are humming green and laughing. The rainbow flags are shining in the golden light of the sun. The fresh earth on the hut's well platform is fragrant and has a faint lingering fragrance. The sap turns sweet, the veins in Ye Chen's robe are loosened and golden light is shining, smiling and hugging his waist. Su Wanqing's wet sleeves are tight, red and hot, her eyes are wet and warm. Feng, Li Xiu, Hu Feigui smiles and admits defeat and pats his shoulder. Old Yi, long live the brave retired farmer. The devil's bones are not cold yet, I am waiting for ridicule and blast. Today, the family fields are turning around and the situation is booming. We are all buying shares in the countryside. The empire of the chicken and pig monsters will continue to be hilarious. The whole village roars, long live the farmer. The scorching sun stretches out the shadows, the rice ears sway and the black shadows patrol the streets and buzzes peacefully. A new chapter will be opened in retirement and the pigs will roar endlessly. The wind blows cool the rice waves, the pig hums green and laughs, the rainbow flag waves, the sun shines brightly, Jianping's new crisis gleams. Unexpectedly, Su Wanqing's housework breaks out after taking a bath in the thatched house. The green mist lingers in the bathtub, the goblin fat guy hides in the cupboard, chirps, Krispy Kreme shit the mud returned, and the mother screamed and pushed Ye Chen with her arms akimbo, husband/dad. The family crisis has exploded. The green ball bath collector's house was destroyed, and the peasants of the empire saved the house from nuclear war. Ye Chen's robe was torn, and the golden light buzzed, and his heart sank. Lying down, dreams are shattered, new chaos.